Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. A time zone friendly welcome to you. Welcome to the HCS Pro League Fall Finals for 2016. Season 2, time to crown a champion over our championship weekend. And appropriately enough, we are at the home of the champions, right here in Leicester in the UK. Still seems weird to say that, doesn't it? Leicester, champions of England. We are going to crown our champions of Halo over the weekend, of course, focusing today on our relegation battles, and tomorrow seeing whether Fab can pick up a second consecutive season championship. Alongside me are two well-known men from the Halo League and the Halo scene over the years. First up we have Mr. Sims. He's here, Halo by day, knitting by night, and he's representing his nan's curtains. Alongside him is Harry Thomas. Once upon a time I used to commentate on this man. It was back in 1863 when it was in black and white. At least he's in colour now. How you doing, Harry?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Glad to be here. Can't wait to see what happens today.
Absolutely. Sims?
Yeah, pretty
culmination of a long league. You've been doing this for ages. You've followed all these teams all season long. What does it mean to come to the championship weekend? How excited are you?
On a scale of 1 to 10, definitely 11. Looking forward to it. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pride on the line. We've got some decent teams in. There's a lot of team changes from last season coming into this one. The teams are looking a lot stronger. And more importantly, it's about today and the relegation. I genuinely think we could possibly and potentially see a changing of the guard.
Maybe. It hasn't happened anywhere else.
Nope.
Hasn't happened in any other region. Hasn't happened last season.
Nope.
Got the same two teams back last season. Could happen today. Let's take a look at the schedule for today, because we've got plenty coming along for you. It is relegation day today, of course, as well. 4 teams in action. 2, of course, are from the Pro League, VwS and Prophecy, against Egoed and Bittersweet, as they're now known. So those 2 teams coming from the open circuit. We'll kick off things with VwS versus Egoed to start with, and then Prophecy versus Bittersweet. We'll also then have the other 2 matches today. You might look at that and think, well, there should be 5, shouldn't there, in double elimination? Well, we don't need 5, because we're looking for 2 teams to go into the Pro League in 2017. A lot on the line for all of these teams, Harry. Would you? I know you're not playing right now, but would you be okay playing in a relegation game, or?
It's very difficult, because we've got members for these Pro League teams. They've been playing for the last 2 months, sweating their heart out, and now they've got to try and stop themselves from even losing in the Pro League now. But these AM teams, they're gunning for it. They really want this, and they've shown it in game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at the table, actually, and show you what's happened over the league season, because it hasn't been quite the same as we saw in Season 1, Sims. It's I guess you could say that Fab have made a bit of a slip-up this season, as much as it is 1 loss.
It doesn't tell the full storyline.
No.
I mean, the one thing that I have to quote on is, after they got the loss, Mo's pretty much went on social media and he said, you know what, Infused, thank you for the loss.
It's helped us.
Yeah, we were lacking a little bit. It was a bit of a kick up the backside, kind of showed us what to do. The most important one, though, is that's, well, they're all important because everyone's here for finals at the end of the day, but that 2nd and 3rd spot. There's a big battle there, and there's quite some rivalries as one team kicked the other out back in the summer season, but it's, I'm looking forward to that match especially.
One of the biggest things as well is just Pulse just barely edging VwS on the second to last week of the season.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
We'll talk about that a little bit more as well as we go through the day, because there was some interesting tactics. I don't know if we can call them tactics on the final day of the season for VwS, but they've ended up in relegation. But also Prophecy, 0 and 10. These are, you know, an average Halo person might look at this, or an average person tuning in for the first time might go, well, they're rubbish. They look terrible. 0 and 10. They must be the worst team in the league. These players are good players. They've got some great players on this. Like, why were they so bad during the season?
Who knows? I mean, a lot of them are working full-time now. You know, they've all got full-time jobs, and sometimes just being able to put that amount of commitment in, it can be hard. And it is a grind at the end of the day. You've got to be there to do it, and a lot of these players now at the top are doing this and trying to make a living on it. The one thing about this team that I have to say is they didn't make a single team change. Questionable, I've got to say. You know, you would have thought, you're given the opportunity, things are not going right, let's make a change, see what happens from there. But I also got to give credit to them and respect for sticking it out and saying, no, we can fix this, we can get it along. But it also sets a statement for how good the players above them are. Yeah. It's a very tight league.
Is it? I'm going to flip it the other side and look at it from the other way, Harry. Is it not just a bit stubborn sometimes to stick with the same lineup all the time and hope that things get better?
I completely agree. Like, for example, I feel like they should have made a team change at least halfway through the season, or even from the beginning, because when they lost Cristola, he was their core slaying power. He was the one who was helping them get 4th or 5th last season. And watching the lineup and everything, it was the same thing, same week, different week, all happening all the time, and the same power was just dropping all the time. And I was thinking to myself, you need to make a team change. And then when they stuck together, I was completely baffled. I didn't understand why, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Of course, we are going to have our finals day, championship finals day, tomorrow with all of the top 4 teams in action today. We're going to focus on the relegation battles. That involves the bottom 2 teams, VwS and Prophecy. Let's take a look at all 4 teams in action today. You've already heard us speaking about Prophecy, of course. VwS haven't had a great season, terrible end of the season as well. What was going on in that last game?
I honestly don't know, to be honest with you.
No one has any ideas, do they?
I mean, I wanted to say there was nothing left to play for. They were pretty much over and done with, and they'd sealed the fate themselves. And it was a bit of a muck-up, I won't lie. I was a bit disappointed we didn't get the best game. It wasn't the best thing to cast, well, even attempt to cast in and watch, to be honest. But, I mean, they could potentially be seeing their old teammate here. If they win their match, and Bittersweet win their match, they'll meet up against one another. So they dropped Anima back during, when you look at it.
Yeah.
There is a slight worry that he could be matching them again, and that would be a very good grudge match.
It's a shame because VwS aren't a bad team. I think a lot of the series they played throughout Pro League were very close, but it's just a matter of fact that they couldn't actually close out the series each time. So I don't feel like they deserve to be in relegation, but hopefully we'll see what happens as they progress.
There's your 4 teams for the relegation of full season. VwS and Prophecy we've discussed. The 2 other teams involved aren't in the Pro League, of course. They've come from the open circuit. And I guess probably the one that stands out, Sims, is Bittersweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 ex-Pro League players having already got that experience. They've got to be looking at winning this and claiming their place. And
especially when you've got Anima, who's been dropped by one of these teams in previous. In fact, you're going to be looking at Warlords. That's 2 players that have been removed from a Pro League roster. The more thing about this is how hungry they are. Sola's been here before. He was in Pro League for summer season. He said, no, this team's not for me. I'm going to back out. Rather than cause problems, he decided to leave, which then you actually get a ban period where you can't play again. He took that on the chin. He said, that's fine. I'll come back again. Open circuit, bang. Didn't get through them. He's here again. It's a really, really nasty roster, but it's whether they can turn up on the day, because as much as time and time again, last time I say Prophecy, they're going to be going out, they're going to get taken down. They survived. They're back in the same position again, but we counted them out last time. And they came through it. They pulled out.
You've got to remember, with Anima and Solar, they're very similar players in terms of how good they are on the day. So I've had some times where Solar's really good at slaying one day, next day he's just average, he's awful. But Anima's exactly the same. You saw in Pro League. Some days he was doing really well, sometimes it's complete opposite. It made no sense.
Can you just not hold back, please, Harry? I don't want you to hold back at all here, and just please speak your opinion. Tell us what you really feel about these players.
Yeah, but it's just like you couldn't make it up. If both Anima and Solar solely play how they normally do on the day, I reckon they can squeeze, even maybe get through to the winner's side.
Okay, we are headed towards our first match of the day, so let's take a look at our first game. It is a very interesting match indeed. We're going to start with VwS versus Ego. We haven't spoken about Ego just yet as well. We've talked about the other 3 teams. So Harry, where do we rate these? Because everyone will look at this and think, well, they finished second in the open circuit. They struggled a little bit through the bracket and maybe had a few results that were eyebrow raising in terms of the result itself. Got through though, and they're up against a VwS team. Do you feel like it depends which version of VwS turns up today? Definitely.
It depends how much they've been practicing. I'm not too sure how much they've been practicing recently, but Ego are so hungry for this. They want this more than anything, and I'm pretty sure that VwS don't want it as much as Ego does. So I'm just hoping Ego just go full out and just go ham on this game.
Key player for Ego?
Ooh, maybe. I'm not sure, but I'd probably say Zer, definitely. Zer is definitely...
Have we decided what we're calling him, by the way? Because he hasn't even decided, has he?
No.
Not even he knows, really.
Well, the problem is you can't call him his first name. His first name's Morg, but one of his teammates is called Morga. It's like, where do we go with this one?
I don't know.
We'll go with Zer.
Zer or Zoo?
To be fair, I used to team with him, and I used to call him Zer. But again, I wasn't too sure, so I just called him by his first name every time. So if I did make a mistake,
so Harry doesn't know.
Then it's fine.
Zer doesn't know, and we don't know either. Brilliant.
Morgan, I do apologise.
We love you, Mark. We love you.
But yeah, key player for Ego, though.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong, you've got players like Quad, who's obviously one of the main slayers in the team. I've played him a few times. He seems to stand out, seems to play really well. But Morgan is the one guy you need to watch out for. If he's on fire, momentum-based, high morale, gets his team pumped, again, is another team I can reckon they could actually beat VwS. But it all depends on how he plays. But can he keep up that momentum throughout the whole day? This is the question, how much energy he has.
Yeah, absolutely. Similar for VwS, Harry. Who do you see as the man that can help them get over the line and get back into Pro League?
It was a hard choice, but I think it would be Chalky. Everyone knows Chalky. We've known him for the last couple of years, how great he was at H2A. Halo 5, he had a bit of a slow start, but he started coming in again. Still one of the best snipers in Europe, but we'll just have to hope he does well for his team and pushes them through.
Yeah. And Sims, how do you see this matchup?
Kind of, I mean, for me, I'm kind of with Harry in the point there. I think VwS are going to trash them at the end of the day. Because
do you still think that? Even after what we saw at the end of regular season?
I don't know. It's just when you look at that roster and the players and the names on it, it's hard to count out people like Ramirez, people like Riots. You just don't want to count them out in any way, shape or form. But then you talk about what Harry mentioned. Halo 5 is a grind. What you put into Halo 5, you get out. It's as simple as that. You put the time in, you'll reap the rewards. These guys are hungry. They really want this Pro League spot. And honestly, whether or not that will overcome the skill and the level of aggression that is on VwS, I don't know, but you're going to be able to tell in the games. I think if VwS haven't been practicing and they just don't seem up for it, they'll definitely, Eagle are going to take full advantage. Absolutely.
I think we've got the start of the vetoes coming momentarily as well, and it's interesting that we talk about vetoes because this is best of 7 now. How much of an impact is that going to have compared to regular season in terms of the way that the teams are going to be matching up?
With best of 7s, it's more about consistency and how well you play, and also with all the game types. If you don't get the game types you want in a best of 5, then things can basically shift the other way. Like, don't get me wrong, I do reckon VwS will win this, but it's the fact that in a best of 5, because there are many game types, it's quite hard to decide whether, if they get the right game types, actually close it out. But in the best of 7, because there's a lot more consistency involved, it makes it more, well, we could say a lot easier for VwS to actually play it out.
Going to start on Fathom.
Fathom CTF.
I would say Fathom CTF's good for VwS. Just in general,
you think that gives them the edge to start with, gets them maybe up and running, gets them a map on the board, gets that sort of blows the cobwebs away from the regular season and focuses on the match?
Like, for example, with maps like True CTF, it's quite easy to spawn trap. It's like the map's like so open in itself, it's quite easy to navigate what's actually going on around the arena. But with Fathom, it's much harder to cap flags in comparison to all the other game types, and I think this is where I would say VwS will probably take game 1.
Is it important that they take game 1, Sims, do you think? Because if they get behind early on, you almost feel like the end of the season might come back to haunt them a little bit, might it? Oh Christ, we've already lost on CTF, we've already lost the first game, guys, what's going on? And then they lose the second game, suddenly it's 2-0. That's hard to come back from.
With these guys as well, and kind of rolling off what Harry mentioned over this team that they're playing, and someone like Zer being momentum based, if they get that game 1 under the belt, it's like, you know what, boys, we can beat these. We've done it once, let's just do it another 4 times, and it's easy going. And it's whether you look on the opposite side of VwS and how they get down on themselves. If they do the exact polar opposite of how it's going to be, they're going to be in trouble. They really are. So they want to come out the gates. Honestly, this should be, if they want to keep their Pro League spot, VwS want to 4-0 this. They want a clean sweep, move on to next and just steamroll.
Game 1's important in any series, in my opinion. So once you've got game 1, you think you can take the rest of the series. And can you imagine if Ego won game 1, VwS will feel a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, it does switch around. In terms of the way that you've watched them through the season, how do you assess their CTF?
It's hard to say. And a map like Fathom, we've seen quite a lot of standoffs time and time again. A lot of teams will begin to, when the time starts to click down a bit, and if it's only 1-1, they'll really become more passive and start to turtle back in the base. And the amount of overtimes we've seen on this is incredible. I'd be slightly worried because when we watched the open circuit last week, this is where we saw Ego really open up. We saw Zer coming in with the overkill. It looked like they really enjoyed it. It was really one of their stronger map types. And it's a really, again, whether or not they can just keep going and keep being aggressive and keep up that aggression rather than slowing down halfway through the game. At least get 1 cap maybe within the first 3 to 4 minutes and then start to build on that one.
It's just Fathom in general though, isn't it? It's one of the most diverse CTF game types compared to the others. It's very difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do. Even when you try to spawn trap them, most of the time, like, they're behind silo, they're in engine 2, and sometimes it's quite hard because by the time they spawn, they're already at your flag on the BR side. So, it depends how much they're on the ball of things.
Okay, we're about 5 minutes away from the start of our first match of the day. There are a number of giveaways this weekend. I'm sure you guys out there watching will be pleased to hear that you can get involved as well. And we'll give you details of that in a moment. Some rec packs to give out. You want them. I know you want them as well. Twitch chat right now is going, yes, we do want them, Red Eye. We do want them. Please tell us more about them. You can find out at the bottom exactly what you need to do. Hashtag HCS as well if you want to talk to us via Twitter, and we do want to hear from you. Let us know who you think will come through relegation, whether you think we might see a changing of the guard, as Sims has already said, or whether you think we'll have some status quo, and I'm not talking about rocking all over the world. See, only Harry got that joke right now. You've got 5 minutes, by the way, for the code. Only Harry got, which gives away your age, sir. So we've got a few minutes beforehand.
Oh, no,
you and I go back a long way.
A
very long way. I'd say
we did some My Series and we did some X League stuff back in the day. No one watching right now is like, X League. What was X League?
What's that?
Yeah, a TV channel we had in the UK years and years ago. And I remember the first time you were in the studio and I watched you play and you're like, you control. What is he doing? What's that? What is that?
I know exactly what you're going to say.
And we said, like, he can't be called lethal anymore. Well, we have to call him Harry the Crab.
You do hold it the most bizarre way I've
You do.
ever
It's
seen
weird,
in my
right?
entire
Like,
life.
you know how you hold it like claw with one finger? It's basically just my whole hand twisted. So, as you know, you hold
Isn't
it
it
like
uncomfortable?
that.
You see Harry just like playing like this.
Yeah,
he's like,
I prefer it like that, holding it at a weird 45-degree angle. Maybe I thought that was normal at the time, but then again, I've held other pads even weirder, but I'm not going to go through all that.
Wow. Harry's got some history with pads. And also, are you the one and only lethal? That's the big question everyone wants to know.
Oh, God.
Should we get involved in this?
God.
Or not?
Started
I feel like there should be a 1v1 Sims, don't you?
Not at Reach, because it's smacky at Reach, definitely.
He would
I
definitely
reckon
be. You want to
it's
play him
Mackie
on Halo 1, don't you?
If it's Halo 1 or 2, then yeah, but 3 and above, he will. Yeah,
you
he
were
will
pretty
smack
rubbish
it
at
down.
3,
Accepting
right?
defeat.
I was average at 3.
So his career took a dip.
As soon as Halo 3 came out, that was it, basically.
Yeah.
Now you're here.
Hang on,
Yeah,
Halo
exactly.
1
What were the washed up?
Halo 1, Halo 2, you didn't lose a tournament.
Yeah.
And then the first, was it the first tournament in Halo 3 you lost?
We lost game 5, yeah.
Lost in the final game?
In the grand finals,
Yeah.
yeah. Could not believe it.
And that was it then.
Just
a
one
rocky,
of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A rocky road.
It was, yeah. My God. Don't want to think about it.
All right, well, we won't bring that. It's obviously a painful
more,
reminder.
please, no
we were trying to have a bit of fun at Harry's expense there, but yeah, we don't want to remind him too much. Let's get back to the tournament. We'll look a little bit ahead to tomorrow as well, because we've got the 4 best teams in the league playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you look at Fab and you think, well, they've played 20 games in 2 seasons. They've lost 1 series. They're outright favourites. They're probably the biggest favourites we're going to have across any esport right now in a championship, aren't they?
Yeah, you would think so. However, they did have maps taken off them back, at the summer finals. We've seen that one. They have dropped a series, which is already down on the clean record that they were keeping back from summer. So a few teams, and this is kind of the story of the league as a whole, right? So those top 4 teams, they've all made team changes. They've all had different players. They are 10 times stronger, all of them, across the board, than what they were back in the summer finals. You throw, Pulse into the mix. Yep. This is a French roster, and I'll always talk about this, and I always say it about French players.
Here it comes.
Honestly, we say it time and time again. Halo 4, MCC, Halo 5, you name it. You throw a French team into the mix on a LAN event, and anything can happen.
Exactly.
Anything.
We've seen it enough times in the past few years, and you just couldn't make it up. Like, literally, online, you think, and then offline, completely different team.
Didn't they
you
smack you in Halo 4? For the tickets for the event?
Yeah, they did.
They did? They did? So he's experienced this himself.
He has. Has some experience of the French Revolution. It's called the French Revolution. Because whenever they come to land, they are great.
Most people have experienced it.
It's time to get your predictions, trying to put your reputations on the line. In particular, Harry, I'm going to make this more interesting for you. If you don't get this one right, then Lethal gets to keep his name and you have to change yours to the Crab.
Do I really have to change it now?
Well, not really, but I was trying to make it spicy. Which way do you think this is going, VwS or Egoed?
My heart says Egoed, but my brain says VwS. I'm going to say, VwS will probably win it 4-2, but Egoed will take the Slayers.
Okay.
I'm going to go 4-3.
Ooh.
I think it'll be a little bit closer than that, to be honest with you. If they get this game 1 under the belt, and they really get going, they'll push them. But it's all about the mentality that VwS approach. If they want this, they'll take it. It's theirs to be lost, really.
Interesting. I like it. A spicy start to the day from our 2 analysts, and it is almost time to head over to the commentary team. Don't forget, on the social media, #HCS. We do want to hear your predictions. Let us know what you're enjoying about the show as well, and who might come through the relegation battles, as well as who might crown themselves champions tomorrow. Sunday, of course, seeing who wins the Pro League in Season 2. Time now for our first match of the day. Let's head over to our commentary team for their thoughts on Game 1.
Thank you very much. Yep, Dan Gaskin here, joined by Harry Wonderboy Cannon. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. I think the analyst desk, they're kind of leaning towards VwS. What are your thoughts here?
I honestly think Ego could take this. But can I just take a moment to appreciate the fact that we had Red Eye doing this? Even the noise in there as well was just fantastic. But coming back to the point, I love what I saw out of Ego last week at the Open Circuit Finals. I honestly think they're really hungry for this. And VwS need to watch themselves here, because Ego could potentially be, they present almost like a banana peel, right? I think I said it in the Open Circuit Finals. They could potentially be a banana peel team, like a spanner in the works kind of team. Because Ego, they've wanted this for a long time. They've been grinding the Open Circuit all season long. They're grinders. They grind Halo 5. And if VwS don't watch their P's and Q's, and they're not on top form as they haven't been at some points during the Pro League season, they could very well potentially lose their Pro League spot here. And honestly, I could see it happening. I really fancy Ego here.
Yeah, it's entirely down to which VwS shows up. I think that Des mentioned it as well. Is it the VwS that didn't really give a damn at the end of Pro League, or is it going to be the VwS that wants to get into next season? That's going to really be the big game changer here. For me, I think I'm leaning towards Ego as well. Just from what we saw in the Open Circuit finals, there was a lot of passion. Zer was playing incredible. If he plays like that again, I really think VwS is going to struggle to shut him down.
And you know what's great? If Ego win now, the entire desk was wrong, and we were right. So that means, you know, we know everything.
Then it also means that Harry might have to change his name to
the crab. To the crab.
I mean, the real question this weekend is going to be who's more savage, you or Harry Thomas. I mean, you both called Harry.
Yeah.
He's coming in saying, "Oh, I'm very opinionated. I'm going to tell the truth." But can he take that off you?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I was pretty savage all season long. I don't even think I was savage like during the season. It was mostly towards Prophecy, right? But their season wasn't too great. Other than that, I felt honestly like I was just being honest. You know? There's a difference between savageness and honesty, and honestly, I feel like I strike a very fine line.
Well, as Sims would say, the eye in the sky is live, and we're going to start this relegation tournament with VwS versus Ego. I believe the first map is Fathom Capture the Flag.
Fathom
now,
Capture the Flag.
Who are you leaning towards here, Harry?
The key player for me in this one, in my opinion, I fancy Ego in this series, so I'm thinking they take this. The last time we saw Ego play this particular game type, Zer actually got that overkill. He did choke the kill tag. Don't know if you remember that, Dan. I might have called it out on the commentary a little bit. It was a little bit of a choke, but he did get that overkill. So Zer's definitely going to be a massive player to watch in this one. And look out for him trying to pull flags willy-nilly, as you'd like to say, Dan, and try and force the issue here against VwS early on.
Yeah, camouflage at the top, railgun down at the bottom. I like that switch that happened after summer season. As we are kicking things off with Ramirez, who's going to be pushing towards railgun, just trying to secure it, but grenades are going to come in thick and fast, as Sims would say. But Lunny is actually there to take down Zer. Nice early kill, just taking out those main players. 3 down now, and VwS can start pushing towards this flag.
Yeah, and speaking of Lunny, he's been an absolute star for VwS all season long. He's the man who's been putting in the majority of the slates for VwS, so not surprising to see him start a little bit hot. We see Chalky there trying to pull a flag here for VwS, but you can see Simply just doing great defensive work with that railgun. So important to corral that weapon. He's able to get that return halfway down, but does he not see Ramirez right there? Hello, there he is. He's found him, and he will actually miss the railgun shot. Just as we were, you know, bigging him up a little bit, he will miss quite an easy shot, and we'll miss that one as well, Dan.
Yeah, just keeps missing at the moment. It was incredible work off spawn for Ego, despite 3 members of their team going down. Zer was able to get an early kill. They were able to push out together and make sure no flag was on the move. But Ramirez will push into the base once again, pulling this flag. He got the shout from his teammate there that he's able to pull this one. He needs to be careful. There is someone behind him, but he has got support. So he is just going to move this flag to Silo and just try and keep out of the sights of Ego. Just get it into a position where they can keep moving it. I like this. He keeps turning around, dropping the flag, and then taking shots. Ground pound comes in, though, and that's 3 down for VwS. And now Ego can start making a move with this flag.
Yeah, because they got so many slays, they're able to run this very direct. We can see Quad here is running this underneath the treehouse. You can see some of the VwS spawners are able to push out, and honestly, looking at the kill feed right here, not enough slaying coming out of Ego, so not sure if they'll be able to put this one in just yet. You can see Quad is super weak. Rami will take down Simplay as well, so now it's all down to Morga as he's the last alive. The flag is returned from VwS. Very hot stuff here early on Fathom Capture the Flag, Dan. Loving what I'm seeing from both teams.
Yeah, I think we're setting the precedent for the future of this game. Very back and forth. Both teams kind of neck and neck at the moment, despite being able to pull the flag all the way across the map. Off spawn, there's always someone to stop it. Great positioning from Lunny to be able to stop that flag in particular. And now Rami's just hit bottom mid. He's going to get the beat down, looking for the double just there into the base,
Rami.
but he's not able to hit any of those shots. So flag is still out, but Chalky does have a railgun to walk with, and he is now hunting down that flag that he sees moving.
Yeah, he needs to try and get in a position where he can see top middle here. He's playing very defensive with this, and we saw earlier on it worked out for one of the Ego players, but with that camouflage coming up, I'd like to see him try and contest top middle a little bit here. He will see Zer there. Zer's pushing him very aggressively. Can't quite get the kill though with the railgun. Great defensive splinter grenade. Zer will be over aggressive, and that's the reversal there from Chalky. But as we're saying that, Morga's trying to run a flag of his own, but you can see 2 of the VwS players there on the return. They will stack up. That return will go in. I'm liking Chalky here, just controlling top middle with this railgun, and we've spoke about it all season long. This is a real kind of pivot point on the map. If you can control this area and keep players off and keep slaying like Chalky is right here, it's going to make Riot's here running the flag is going to make his job so much easier, because all Chalky has to do is worry about those slays. Just keep getting those kills, keep killing the spawners coming through. That's exactly what's happening right here. Wouldn't be surprised to see the first flag going on the board here for VwS. But as I say that, Quad will actually take down Lunny. Now, looks like Ego are able to run a flag of their own.
Yeah, every time someone pulls the flag, you instantly get the spawners on the other side of the map. I'd like to see both teams try and stop these spawns, try and get someone to respond to those spawns on silo to stop that from happening, as now we are going to have a flag standoff. Chalky has run out of railgun ammo, so we won't be able to use that just yet. He will have to wait for a new one to respawn as we move across to Riot, who is just going to be holding this flag. I have always said it's very important to have a good player holding the flag, someone who's not afraid to push out, not afraid to use their pistol, drop the flag, and help out with the team, and that's exactly what Riot is doing here.
Yeah, and we've spoke about it before. In this kind of scenario, I mean, there are a lot of standoffs on Fathom capture the flag. Great, perfect flagman kill there from Riot. It's almost like you want the flag player to be the player who is able to process the most information, but I'm going to swap over to Ramirez here as he's able to get that return, and that's going to be able to put Riot's flag into the base. 1-0 to VwS, 8 minutes left out.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it comes into a standoff, VwS have kind of been getting more kills than Ego, so I think that was always going to favour them, but I've really got to give credit to Riot for pushing out the base, getting an important perfect kill, but Ramirez, time and time again, is always getting behind the opposition. He's always being that nuisance. You just can't deal with him. You've just constantly got to be aware. You've constantly got to be calling out to your teammates saying, where is he? Where's he going to be pushing from? As Riot is yet another railgun kill. Will get a camouflage as a reward as well. If he can escape, this would be absolutely perfect, which he does. Deadly combo for him now.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that we're seeing a real lack of discipline here out of Ego, and we're kind of seeing the differential between the Pro League team and the Open Circuit team right here. You can tell the Pro League team very drilled on making sure they get that camouflage, they get the railgun. So far for the majority of the game, apart from the first railgun, we've seen the railgun and the camouflage both go in favour of VwS, and you can kind of see in the spell of play right now, both Riot and Chalky have had great success with this weapon. As we're saying that, VwS were trying to run a flag, but that's going to be returned on the Ego side, but Riot's there still with that kind of Predator combo. Loving what I'm seeing out of VwS so far. I was kind of expecting them to be a little bit sluggish coming into this one, but so far they've been really on point with their both power-up timing and making sure they get that railgun as well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the VwS that want to stay in Pro League, and despite having all this control, despite having the railgun and the camouflage, VwS just weren't able to get that flag in, because time and time again, Ego are always in a position to stop that flag from being put in. As we're on board with Morgan, who's just going to put some pistol shots into Chalky there, takes him down. Thankful for his teammate having support. We'll look across to Lunny as well, and now that's 2 dead for VwS, so Ego can start making their way across this map. But Morg does have to be careful, as there is a player sneaking around this corner, does get the assassination. Riot's just waiting patiently there to get the kill.
Yeah, patience paying off there for Riot, and now you can see the assault coming in here from VwS. Chalky's pinching top middle here with Riot. Great work there between Riot and Chalky, securing top middle for VwS, and now this can kind of springboard them going forward. Yes, they'll have to drop down in around 8 seconds or so as that railgun's coming up, but they're already going to be in that prime position for that camouflage, which comes up after the railgun. Great reversal there from Riot as well. As we swap over to the Ego side, haven't really seen too much of them out of this game so far. But I would like to see them going forward, maybe try. I think the first port of call here, Dan, is make sure you try and get top middle control and make sure you get that camouflage in your hands, because right now VwS have been putting them to great use, and as a result they're 1-0 up in the game.
Yeah, certainly Ego have just been on the back foot. They've had to respond to everything that VwS have thrown at them, so they've not really had a chance to set up, they've not had a chance to breathe, and instead they've just been stuck on this cycle of returning a flag, trying to run one of their own, and just giving away map control time and time again. Camouflage is going to be in the hands of Ramirez, and he does have a railgun as well, and he's going to be a sneaky little beaver here. He's trying to pick up a kill, does take down Simply. He needs to be careful as there is a player behind him, but he's got support, and the flag will be thrown out. A big double there from Ramirez. Looks towards the triple as he does see a member just spawning there over at Silo, but he's not going to be able to take that one down. But nice patient play from Ramirez.
Yeah, just imagine being an Ego player right now, though. I mean, I don't think they've really expected this out of VwS. Rami, in the end, will go down. Let's swap over to someone here from the Ego side, but I don't think Ego's really expected this. Every single time they're on spawn, they're getting out-dueled by one of the VwS players. Simply will pick up a kill here. And if he can win this duel, that will really help his team out, but instead he's going to elect to stay alive. But already, VwS have that flag on the move. Chalky is about to put in the second flag here for VwS, and it seems like Ego, they just can't get anything on the board so far. Haven't really seen a massive amount of kills in the kill feed from them, and they haven't been able to fashion a flag run either. Every single time they spawn, it's been VwS with either a camouflage, a railgun, or just great team fire. Every single time in the kill feed, it's VwS opening up the slay.
And it's very rare that we're seeing any 1v1s won by Ego, which is extremely different to what we saw during the open circuit. That was why Ego qualified for these relegations, because they were just performing so well in their 1v1 situations. As another flag is being run by VwS. This would be the third and final flag, but there are several members of Ego there to stop them. But Riots from top mid just make sure he stops anything from happening. Lunny is able to pick him off as well. Zer goes down. Now they just need to put this flag in. Moore goes down as well for the double. Needs to turn around. Can he get the ground pound triple? He goes down. Simply now will try and return this flag for sure.
Well, you say that, but Ramirez almost got that flag in. Look how close it is. It's going to be Riots to put the last flag in, and VwS will take game number 1, 3-0. I don't think either of us really expected that much of a stomping down. That was just a great all-round performance from VwS. They're looking fresh here in relegation. Lunny top Slayer in the game by a country mile. 23 kills from him. Riots with 18 and those 2 flag caps as well. 4 flag returns from Quad, and I really think that just speaks volumes to how in your face VwS were playing. 4 flag returns on Fathom from Quad. I mean, that's just an outrageous amount of pulls coming in from VwS, and in the end it paid off because Lunny was able to slay around, and you can see that they were just having a field day there on Fathom, and Ego looked a little bit like, almost like an open circuit team there, Dan.
They did, and I said throughout Pro League that I thought there was a big difference from Pro League teams and Open teams, and that just demonstrated it right there, right then. I mean, Fathom capture the flag, maybe not the strongest game type for Ego. At the start of the game, it was a little bit back and forth. There was a flag being run, and then it was returned, and then the opposition would run the flag, but then the control just started to happen. VwS had that railgun, had that camouflage constantly. They had top mid, and just Ego always on the back foot. They constantly had to respond.
I'm just looking at the highlights, and it's just constant railgun control from VwS. I mean, I think it was Simplay, or it might have been Morg who actually got that first railgun for Ego. But after that, VwS made sure they didn't make the same mistake twice, and you can see the damage, the amount of kills that are put down using this railgun, and it allowed so much opportunity for the rest of the VwS squad to try and work around that railgun player. It worked out fantastically. Lunny here, I'm loving the slaying that he did. Him here, he threw the flag out, right? Threw it out in the open. He had faith in his teammates, and essentially what he was doing, he was just buying time for his teammates to come up on spawn, and we didn't see enough of that out of Ego. Obviously they didn't have the opportunity to do so because VwS, they turned up in that game. But it was just a great all-round performance, I think, from VwS. Very happy with what I saw, and if they could have played like that during the season, Dan, you have to wonder whether or not they might be here this weekend.
I mean, I'm so happy that they did play like that. I'm happy that it wasn't the VwS we saw at the end of Pro League, and we will look at the map 2 Vetoes soon. I'm not sure what the second map is. I don't think the desk even saw that, so that'll be something we'll look at.
For all
it will be a nice surprise, and I believe it will be a Slayer. So, you know, there we go. There are the Vetoes down here. That's what we like to see. It will actually be an Eden Slayer for Game 2, and just looking at those Vetoes, Truth was banned, and then Plaza by VwS. Rig was also banned, and then Coliseum again by VwS, and then Regret banned out by Ego. I mean, interesting choice banning out Regret. Throughout the season, actually, VwS have avoided Regret a lot. Yeah. Ego may not have read into that. They may not have watched enough Pro League to kind of see that that's a thing. But, I mean, Eden Slayer, for you, are you going for VwS once again, or is this going to be Ego's chance to get back into
I said at the start, I said Ego'd have a really good chance of this series, but what I've seen out of them in Fathom, may not have been their strong game type, may have been a great pick out of VwS, but I honestly fancied Ego on Regret Slayer. Like you said, Regret Slayer is not something that VwS has played all season long. They've had a few games on Eden Slayer, and if I remember correctly, they're actually quite efficient at making sure they get those power weapons. So Ego, they certainly need to watch themselves here. Could have been a bit of a mispick. Don't forget, with the last ban in the Vetoes, essentially, Ego had a chance to either play. They basically had the choice between playing Eden, which they are playing right now against VwS, and they could have played Regret Slayer as well. So they're going for Eden. Let's see how it pans out here, Dan. Don't forget, VwS already 1-0 up in the series. They did a great job on Fathom capture the flag, wiping the floor with Ego 3-0.
And Sniper has gone into the hands of Ego as they do take an early 4-1 lead. Ramirez gets shut down immediately, and the Sniper, I believe, is in the hands of Quad, but we are on board with Simply, who's got rockets to hand as well, with a 5-1 lead as Quad takes down Chalky, and Simply's just looking across, railing down shots on Lunny. He goes down. That's 6-2 now. This is the perfect start for Ego. This is exactly what they needed, and now they can push on. They've got map control, they've got all the power weapons, they just need to stick together, rotate appropriately, and they could really start to snowball here, Harry.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They're actually rotating around the outside of the map. They want to try and get to the red base because apparently they're feeling the pressure over at blue. You can see Quad, they're trying to scope into the blue base. I think they've read this quite well. If they can make sure they keep quad alive here with this sniper, then we've said it before, with the sniper, you can basically get untradeable kills. But here comes the push here, actually, from VwS.
Oh
Lunny
my
actually
God.
takes down 2, the sniper and the rocket player. Huge kills out of Lunny right there. And now it's Riot's here to try and pick up the pieces. Does need to try and stay alive. He has a sniper, and just as I would have thought he would have done, he's getting that thing out of dodge, because if you can pick players off with the sniper, it's essentially untradeable kills. And right now, that's exactly what VwS need. They're down by 5. They can pick off a few faces, maybe formulate a push around the kills that Riot's could potentially get here with the sniper, then maybe they can get themselves back in this game. But right now, down by 6.
It was sloppy play from Ego to throw away a sniper and the rockets, though, so easily, just from a random push from Lunny. Riot's trying to get himself into a position where he can pick off some heads here with the sniper. And I mean, if you go back to Halo 3 with Riot, he would hit every single shot with the sniper, but in Halo 5 he hasn't really found his feet. I don't think anyone would actually argue with me in that case, as Riot goes down. So sniper not going to be doing anything for VwS. You saw, remember, did pick it up off his death screen though, as now rockets are coming up. There was a rocket in the hands of Morg, but he's not able to do anything with it as Lunny takes him down, and now he has some rockets as a reward.
Yeah, I think it was actually Chalky in the end who picked up that empty sniper. We saw the rockets go down, so we'll try and keep an eye on that for you. But at the moment, seems like a great strategical pick really coming out of Ego. I mean, look at the score right now, Dan. 15, make it 16 now to 9 as the trade comes in. And if Chalky can start pinging faces, then maybe that deficit can be closed. And he is hitting a couple of shots to his credit right here. But to be honest with you, VwS need to start trying to slay these kills out. They need to make sure they finish off these kills. But you can see in the kill feed, oh my word, Ego turning up to this one. Chalky with no chance. Rami the last life of VwS.
I mean, it's all well and good him hitting body shots with a sniper, but why are none of his teammates cleaning it up? The communication clearly lacking at the moment. No one in a position to help him with the sniper rifle. Okay, his back was kind of against the wall there as he had 3 people running at him, but if one of those was a headshot, it really could have made the difference. But rockets now in the hands of Ego, and with a 10-kill lead, they can really start to get out of control here. But we've seen it before. VwS have been in this situation. They can come back into games. They just need to pick their moment. They need to decide when they're going to push, when they're going to try and get behind us. Ramirez is going to look. No, I thought he was going to get injured there, but does look up accordingly and get the melee kill. Picks up the double with the battle rifle as well. He's going to look for the triple, actually. There is a player there, but I believe he's going to go down from Riot. So this is better from VwS. Just having Ramirez flanking around, picking them off when they're unexpected.
Yeah, but what they need to do is make sure that they do slow the game down. And right now, that's what they need to do. They seem to have done it. I'm going to swap through a few of the players. Chalky, in fact, it's going to be Lunny with the sniper, and they need to make sure A, they keep Lunny alive, but B, make sure they don't just keep running into Morga, because he just picked off 2, and all of a sudden that's now a 10-kill deficit his team are in. If they can just let Lunny go to work, if he can stay alive right here, this would be huge. But Zer will hunt him down like a pack of dogs. Zer will go down as well, so a lot of trading going on here, and honestly, this really suits Ego, because right now they're in the driving seat. If Chalky can hit this shot, that would have been fantastic, but he will go down as well. Big fight coming up here for the Rockets here, Dan. It's going to be absolutely vital going forward who can pick these ones up. I think it's going to be Riot's in the end who gets those.
Yeah, no one's really been able to get away with the sniper either. No one's been able to have that control, been able to have free roam of it. Instead, it's been very back and forth, and as you said, it's been playing into the hands of Ego because they have been trading effectively. They've been there as soon as one of their teammates goes down, there's another just to trade off behind them, which is what they weren't doing in Fathom Capture the Flag, as Morg picks up a kill onto Chalky with the rockets, and now he just has 2 left in the chamber, but that is definitely, it should be 2 guaranteed kills if you can get in a position to use them effectively. You can see all of VwS over there at the opposite base, and Morg now can be very patient. Just needs to say to his team, we don't need to go to them, let's let them come to us.
Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen really for Ego. I mean, all Morgan needs to do right here is just chill and wait for some of the VwS players who are pushing. But you can see in the kill feed, once again, 2 kills going in favor of Ego. VwS just not able to capitalize on any kills whatsoever at the moment. It doesn't seem like any snipers are actually hitting bullets either. I'm loving this push coming in from Morga though. Maybe a little bit too overzealous in the end. He will challenge through the grenade. I think that was kind of what he had to do in that scenario, considering where he was. Lunny's actually going to back up Ramirez here, and that's what I like to see out of VwS, the buddy system. Make sure you keep that sniper alive, because right now the sniper's the linchpin. Because they're essentially untradeable kills. We talk about it so much. If you can ping faces with that sniper, you can close down a deficit so easily without reply, essentially. So if they can let Ramirez here just go to work with his sniper, make sure you just don't give away any silly deaths, and let Ramirez just go to work.
But Ego just played into VwS's hands then. Ego just unnecessarily pushing, in my opinion. They didn't really need to go for that. They lost the rockets in the end. The kill gap was closed by 3 kills, and in the favor of VwS. And actually, VwS, they slowed it down. They said, look, let's wait. Let's see if their inexperience will make them come to us. And in the end, that's what's happened, as Ramirez is just going to be patient here at bottom mid in the pit. Just try and see if he can pick off any kills, but he is stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment, as every member of Ego is staring at him, as Lunny has actually managed to find a kill with the rocket, as the new rockets will be coming up, but Quarios is in a position to get them in his pocket. And now, this is what I want to see from Ego. I want to see them set up, and I want to see them be patient. They only need 13 more kills. They can just say, look, what can we know from VwS throughout the season? They do get impatient. They have questioned the meta about crouching, and they can get frustrated. Frustrate them. You want to drill them into the ground, so when you go into Game 3, they are going to be absolutely down and out.
And isn't this just like a polar opposite from what we saw in game number 1? On Fathom, it was VwS controlling all the power-ups, all the power weapons. Right now, it's been a power weapon fest. Fair enough, VwS have, you know, had their fair share of rockets and sniper as well. But I'm just loving the way that Ego are using the power weapons when they actually happen. They always seem to convert them into kills, whether it's a rocket launcher in the hands of like Simplay or Quad right here. He's not going to fire any silly rockets off. He's going to make sure that VwS are pushing him before he fires the rocket off, and there you go. It's converted into a kill, and it's untradeable. Quad here will be able to stay alive, get his shields back, and now he still has those 3 rockets to use. That could essentially be 3 extra kills if he chooses to use them.
But look where Ego are. They've just sat in the base, and VwS, one player after another, is pushing in and just getting thrown into the mix. And Ego are just able to pick off kill after kill, and it's perfect for them with an 11-kill lead and just 9 kills left now. This is looking exactly what Ego needed to respond to get back in this series, as we are on board with Chalky here in the blue base. At the moment, he is on his own. He's not with his teammates, who does need to be careful, because if he is picked off easily, that is just another kill towards that 50 mark.
Yeah, most certainly. But you can see again in the kill feed, I think Chalky here has kind of just admitted defeat, as he, for some reason, decided to fly out of the window. Simplay will have the rockets again, and it's another power weapon converted kill here for Ego. Just great efficiency. Whenever they get those power weapons, they always seem to put kills on the board, and on a Slayer, that's absolutely vital. Only 4 kills to finish it out. Now, Dan, are you surprised at the result of this one? I expected it to be a little bit closer, because every single time we've seen VwS on this game type during the Pro League season, they seem to be able to get at least a little bit of power weapon control.
Considering what I saw in Fathom capture the flag, I am surprised, because the slaying power that VwS demonstrated was absolutely phenomenal, as it does look like Ramirez may have just given up. Or perhaps they had just said, look, this is down and out, as it will be 50-30 to Ego as they get back into the series, and they're going to be tied up 1-1. But I'm impressed with Ego. I do think that Slayers are their strong point, especially when you have players like Zer who can perform those amazing kind of quick shots and stuff with the sniper. Run me through the statistics here, Harry.
So Morga, actually, least deaths in the game, 4. Only the 4 deaths. VwS had 30 kills, only 4 of them were because of Morga. Simplay, top slayer in the game. Simplay, 14 kills, not too bad. Just a great all-round, very well-rounded performance, actually, from Ego. 14, 13, 12, 11 were the slays. And on the VwS side, not really too much to note. Ramirez, top assister in the game, but with a -6 spread and a -10 out of Chalky as well. VwS, they are all of a sudden a little bit on the ropes. Fair enough, tied up 1-1 in the series, Dan, but we talk about Halo so much, very momentum-based, and you've got to say, after a spanking like that, it's going to be tough to come back in this series.
It's worrying, because we know what VwS are like, and we know that they can give up, they can get frustrated. You've got to look at it this way. VwS are full of players that have been at the top. They've been champions. They've been winning events. They're playing against Ego. None of those players have been at the top. None of those players have ever won an event, and they're now tied 1-1. They've lost a map to them. That's going to play a big factor. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to start to argue. And I wouldn't put it past the VwS squad to have a little squabble at the end there, saying, what went wrong?
Happened? It's your fault. No, it was your fault. No.
And that's the type of thing that's going to happen, as you do see the vetoes there on screen for map number 3, which is going to be Rig Strongholds. So Plaza taking out of the game by VwS, and then Ego vetoed away Eden, and then Empire taken out by VwS as well. Now, Rig Strongholds, it's a lot of people's favourites, I'd say, and for me, looking at both of those games, I think this should be a closer one. So from game 1, we saw the objective control from VwS, and then game 2, we saw the slaying power from Ego. It's going to be a very back and forth one for me.
Yeah, I can see that happening, certainly. One thing to note as well, we've seen Egoed on this game type in the past, very, very good at coming back in the game even when they're down. So keep an eye on that, but also keep an eye on Lunny in this one. He's going to be a guy that I'm going to be trying to watch as much as humanly possible, because this man is a one-man wrecking machine. We've seen players like Flux in the Pro League able to just kind of anchor that basement stronghold with that shotgun by himself. Lunny's the same kind of player. He can lock down one stronghold by himself. So make sure we keep an eye on him. But I tell you what, Dan, Ego remind me of myself. Young and hungry.
With an ego.
With an ego, yeah.
Exactly. Well, Strongholds on the rig, 100 points to win. It is VwS versus Ego, and we are tied 1-1 in this series so far. Ego did go down 3-0 on Fathom Capture the Flag to start with, but then responded well with a 50-30 on Eden Slayer. Now, I'm worried that VwS might start to crumble here, and they may not be able to keep up with the sheer aggression of Ego, as we are going to start things off with Lunny. And I'm not really surprised he's going to go straight for that railgun. We've seen him do incredible things throughout the season with it.
Yeah, and funny to see Ego actually not even putting pressure on Lunny, and this could be a real tale going forwards, because we've seen the kind of shots he's able to hit in the past simply there will actually dip down low. I think it was Chalky who was able to grab that camouflage early off. But Lunny, again, uncontested with that railgun, this man can do absolute damage. We said he can lock down a stronghold by himself. He can also lock down areas of the map. You can see him just controlling this white corridor area right now. But the shotgun comes in from Morga. That's a huge kill. And he will actually stay alive as well. The nade will come in. He stays alive still. Can he pick up this kill on Rice? Oh. Yes, he can. How is Morga still alive right now? VwS players overextending to try and take him out. In the end, it will be Ramirez to shut the man down. But Lunny shut down early from that shotgun. Let's see if he can try and get back on the pace. But Quad, again, just shutting down VwS players left, right, and center.
So you said at the start, I'm surprised Ego have given up on the railgun, but look where they went instead. They went and got Nest, they went and got Basement, they started off this control, and already VwS are sucked back onto spawn, and Quad is actually going to go for the triple cap here just to put even more pressure on VwS. They can start racking up so much points here as Zoo is going to try and push round. He's got the shotgun in his back pocket, so anyone that does go for Basement, he'll be able to pick off. Does need to get close enough to be able to use it effectively, though. I like that he has taken himself out of that situation when he was on the back foot.
Did you see what he did, though? He jumped in, reset the stronghold, and is still alive with his life as well. If he can hit some nades here on right and stop this Nest stronghold being captured, that would be huge. He will, surrender the stronghold in the end. The ground pound coming from Riots. Zer, though, will actually slide out of the way. Zer will go down in the end, and once again, it's Lunny with that crisp aim. Perfects him 5 to the face. A little bit of a fight going on here for the Nest, but we can see Zer here actually spawning away from his only stronghold. And VwS, they actually have control. They have 2 strongholds, and they're about to take the basement for the triple cap as well.
I cannot stress enough how important that was from Riots to stay alive and get control of that Nest. Now Ego are on the back foot. It's going to be seen how they push out of this kind of spawn trap, especially when Chalky has the railgun to work with as well. You did see he tried to pick off that player that was pushing through, but unfortunately couldn't quite get him. He's looking across to Nest, as Nest is being taken now by Ego. Exactly what they needed to do. Push over to Nest, get Nest first, and then you can make your choice. Do you want to go to Basement, or do you want to go to BR base? It's nice to give yourself those decisions.
Yeah, I think Chalky is 0-4-4 so far on that railgun, and he will go down. That's very rare to see a player not really being able to put the railgun into kind of efficient use, but all of a sudden VwS right back in this game. It was 30-0, don't forget. A camouflage player will get backsmacked! That's Riots going down with a camo. It was 30-0, now we're all tied up, and all of a sudden, VwS are back in the game, but Zer shutting down Riots. That's going to be a massive morale boost here for Ego. And all of a sudden, they're capturing the BR base, they're capturing Nest, and they're also capturing the basement here as well, Dan. This could be a triple cap once again here for Ego. And all of a sudden, this game is just going back and forth.
It is, but Ego are just keeping this game so fast-paced. VwS are at their best when it's slowed down, when it's controlled, when you can make methodical decisions. Instead, Ego are getting in their face. They're not giving them that time to breathe, not giving them that time to think about anything. And instead, VwS are having to respond by playing a fast game of their own. And yes, they're keeping it close because they're all such phenomenal players. I'm not entirely surprised, as you see on your kill feeding. Chalky actually got a double kill there. That will be 3 dead for Ego, so they're now pushing over to Nest. I love that both teams are going for Nest first. I really think it is a very crucial stronghold to go for. If you do hold the Nest, you're probably going to get a good amount of points once you pick up BR base as well.
Yeah, interesting to see Lunny here actually trying to go aggressive, trying to go aggro there on the BR base. Simplay will shut him down. All of a sudden, it's a 2-1 slate advantage in favor of Ego. Make that 3-1 now. So now they can mount their assault. Like you said, Dan, they weren't able to get that nest. They in fact went for BR base first, but now they can rotate around kind of the railgun side of the map, and you can see the basement is actually being contested as Riot shutting down Quad as he was trying to take the basement. The assault there not quite working out around the railgun side of the map there from Ego. And Big Daddy Riots will shut down that push completely. And I can't call this game right now. We're all tied up 46. And it's actually VwS now taking the lead. This is absolutely crazy stuff. Don't forget, a Pro League spot on the line here today, Dan, in relegation. This is absolutely crazy.
It is, and Riot's once again in the thick of it. Just being able to reset basement was absolutely huge, as he isn't able to pick up that kill onto Quad. Quad takes him down, but some people forget that just getting that reset can make or break a game. You've really just got to have that player who's not afraid to dive in, maybe take a death, but if they don't die, it can absolutely win a game for you, as Chalky is surviving here in Nest. He's got a teammate here to support him as well, so they are going to grab that stronghold, get total control once again, and they are now putting Ego on the back foot, and Ego are going to start spawning over that BR base, so expect VwS to start swarming around and try and pick up as many kills here.
So yeah, last time VwS actually got total control, it was Lunny trying to go aggro on the BR base. This time it's Chalky who will go down early, so again, VwS trying to put that early pressure on that one stronghold that Ego they're capturing, trying to get that buy script on the game. Riots will take down Zer, but it's not, I don't know, it's not, it doesn't seem to be working out here for VwS. I'd like to see them just take a minute, maybe try and contain Ego, try and contain them in that BR base for a little while before pushing in. We saw Lunny the first time around push in and died, then it was Chalky. So I'd like to see them just try and stay alive, be a little bit more patient before trying to capture that BR base. As Chalky will perfect Zer, the last man alive on the Ego side is going to be Quad, and all of a sudden he's got to protect his own stronghold, the lone one that his team have.
Does look like Ego are starting to run out of steam a little bit here, and VwS are just taking that in their stride. They said, look, if you can't keep up with us, then we're just going to keep pushing it in your face. You see several members of Ego now down in this basement, but Lunny does have a shotgun to work with. He'll take down Morg, and they will secure that basement once again, and with total control and just 5 more points needed, that will be all she wrote, and VwS are going to be able to take this game 3 and go 2-1 up in the series.
That is the G'est of G's. What a game. That was so back and forth. Don't forget, VwS started that game down 30-0. Such resilience to come back and break the control of the Ego squad. Ramirez, top captures, top slays in the game. 6 captures, 15 kills. 3 secures go to Lunny, and to be honest with you, when you look at the slays, honestly, not that much difference between the two teams. Just great control, just great efficiency, objective efficiency coming out of VwS right there.
I think the big thing as well, so Riot's only got 8 kills there, but there were 2 moments that really changed the game for me. At both times, it was when Riot's was able to either get a secure or get a reset just with his survivability. So, yes, okay, he's not the Riots of old where he's just got absolute slaying power, but this is the moment. Look at this, just ground pounds, avoids Zer, even though Zer had a shotgun, and then his teammate came to save the day. And just those little things can be so important, and that is where your experience shines. But then on the opposite foot, he did have a camouflage and he did get assassinated.
Yeah, that's certainly not the most highlightedest of plays. Is that a word? Highlighted?
It can be now.
It's a word now.
We can make it now.
A word. But we spoke about before the game, we said it would be Lunny trying to put in those individual performances who can individually lock down a stronghold. I honestly think it was Riots that game. I mean, you highlighted the 2 plays, the one he made in Nest, and also several moments in the game where he was able to kind of secure the strongholds for his team. I think it was Riots. I think Riots was the standout player in that game, as you touched upon, Dan.
Well, we are going to be going into game 4, which is going to be Truth Capture the Flag, as it does look like Fathom, Stasis, and Colosseum. Oh, we're going to be taking... Yeah, so
Fathom's been played.
Yeah. So if you don't understand the
Stasis
veto system, we obviously take out Fathom, then we've got Stasis banned, then we've got Colosseum banned.
Right,
and that leaves us with Truth Capture the Flag. And actually, I'm leaning towards VwS for Truth Capture the Flag. I think it's one of those game types that they have played so much that they should have the experience to be able to take this.
Isn't this the game type they've played the most in the Pro League? I know obviously you don't have your stats on you, but every single time I seem to remember watching VwS in the Pro League, every single series seems to feature at least Truth Capture the Flag in some form. Now, I don't know whether that's just because Pro League players like playing Truth Capture the Flag, or whether it's, you know, maybe VwS's home map. But I agree with you, especially with players like Ramirez. We've seen the flag plays he can make, you know, obviously the good side and the bad side. If Ego can punish the plays that Ramirez tries to make, then potentially Ego have a chance in this one, but I agree with you. I honestly think VwS have looked very strong on this game type throughout the entire season. Lunny especially with his perfect kills. His aim is just on point. It seems to be every single game for VwS. Lunny's getting at least one perfect kill. So worth noting the individual talents on the VwS side, but let's not count out Ego. We saw them in the open circuit last weekend. They looked very strong then. They just, haven't seemed to gotten rolling so far here in relegation. Obviously, they're up against tougher opposition than they were last weekend. But I would like to see them try and take this one and make this a real tooth and nail series.
Yeah, I think this is where VwS have the opportunity to kind of put the series to bed, because once you take Truth Capture the Flag, you're then 3-1 up, you've got that cushion, and you can look on to the next 3 game types and say, look, all we need to do is win one of these. And Regret Slayer as the following game type, yes, okay, it's not fantastic for VwS, but when you've got that in the back of your mind, that if you lose, you're out of the series, it's always harder to play those kind of really closely contested Slayer game types. As we are going to move on to Capture the Flag Truth, which is going to be your game 4, as currently VwS are 2-1 up in the series against Egode. And we are going to kick things off. Harry, who are we going to kick things off?
Oh, honestly, I think I want to see a little bit of Ramirez off the start of this one, which is a good thing because he's the man who the game has selected for us. He's actually going to grab that sword, and we speak about it so much during the Pro League broadcast. Ramirez will go down with that sword, but controlling that sword is absolutely vital. Not to mention that top middle area that Rights is patrolling as well. But if you control that sword, you can move that flag so quickly across the map essentially. And if you're running the flag with the sword and the other team's coming off to spawn, all of a sudden you're in your own base with the other team's flag, and the other team's like, wait, where's our flag? Oh, it's 1-0. Oh, it's 2-0. That kind of thing can happen. So keep an eye out on that one. We'll try and follow the sword wherever we can. But Lunny, once again, just being an individual beast, getting behind the Ego squad, and he can actually touch this flag. And VwS love this style of flag running. They love relaying the flag across the map, and even Lunny putting in great performances with the flagman as well. That's going to help out his team massively.
And Egode actually made the decision not to return that flag. Lunny threw it out quite a long time ago, and then he was like, oh, okay, well, if no one's going to go and return it, I'm just going to push it further across the map. As you do see, a couple of members of Egode have pushed into the opposition base now, and they threw the flag out for themselves. So both flags down on that bottom floor, and it does look like people are starting to move these, and the flag actually will be returned. So now Egode can start trying to return this one, as Chalky is going to move round to P side, try and get as much shots as he can, as Quad is caught with his pants down at bottom middle, and that flag should be a dead flag if Egode know what they're doing.
Well, yeah, it's actually going to be VwS returning that flag down, but both teams actually kind of opting for this relay style of running. We haven't really seen either team set up for a proper flag run. I mean, how many times have we seen Fabi in the league get that sword, get it into the base, and then start running that flag pink side and just get it around a safe side of the map and slay spawners on the other side? We haven't really seen that so far. Obviously, still early in the game, not even 2 minutes gone yet. But look for teams to try and slay the other team, get that kind of base control, and then start running it around a tower that is safe, and then spawn the slayers. Excuse me, slay the spawners, Dan, that are spawning on the other side of the map.
Yeah, don't spawn the slayers. That's the worst thing to do. I saw 3 members of VwS all pushing together, and they were so close together that one nade took pretty much all 3 of them out. They all went down to no shields, and it was just easy pickings for the Egode members. As Zoo does have the sword, actually goes for the Spartan charge, eventually takes down Lunny. Really important that he's able to survive here. Should just wait for his shields, in my opinion. He might actually say, look, give me the flag because I've got the sword, you can get the camouflage, and he might pick up the return as well, as Splinter Nade does go down to try and stop him. So he nicely just throws it towards the base rather than just eating the Splinter Nade. But that's all 4 dead for Egode now, so VwS can make a response and get this flag return and move a flag of their own.
Yeah, I think they're actually trying to find that sword though, but it looks like the flag is going to be on the move. I think it is Lunny, and you can see this is what we were talking about, slaying players in the base and then moving it around the safe side of the map. That's what VwS are trying to do. In Egode's credit, they were able to do that last time round as well, so just keep an eye on that going forward. Both teams actually able to pick up kills. In fact, it's going to be VwS with 2 kills there. If they can get the return, which is in their own base, and slay out Morgan, who's being an absolute nuisance, then maybe this could be 1-0 to VwS. Lunny will actually go down before putting that flag in. I think that's going to be Simplay there trying to get the return, but it's Ramirez playing very well defensively there for his team. Takes out the player, puts the flag in. 1-0 VwS.
Yeah, I like that Ramirez just didn't dive on that. He knew that they were going to be rushing for the return. He waited, used the fuel rod efficiently, and a nice 1-0 lead. Camouflage is going to be up sooner rather than later, and that's why Ramirez was just looking at the time there, saying, when is the camouflage going to be up? And just wanted to double check whilst he's in that position. Flag is going to be pulled by Zer, though. Does take down Lunny, and now Ramirez is just caught in between a rock and a hard place. And actually, this flag is moving. Is there anyone to stop it? It looks like it's just Riots, but he is not going to be in a position to stop that one. So straight away, the the response from Ego to tie this one up 1-1. And really important, because if that had started to get out of hand, their heads might have begun to drop.
Well done. Isn't that just telling the tale of this series so far? Both teams just going neck and neck. We're only in game 3, aren't we? Down game 4 right now? This is absolutely crazy. Both teams just going tooth and nail against each other. It's going to be Ramirez there rotating around to pink, trying to pick up that new camouflage. Obviously not up for another 10 seconds or so. But both teams, it actually looks like Ego who have the majority of that kind of pink 1 area control. Quad there will help Zer take down Lunny. And I think it's actually going to be Simplay who was on pink 1. I'm going to try and get eyes on that camouflage and see when it's coming up. You can see Riot's there. He's already waiting for that camouflage to come up, but I don't think either team really knows an exact timing on it. In fact, here it is. It's coming up at 40. And it's going to be VwS with that camouflage.
Yeah, there is the camouflage. We saw that Ramirez earlier was checking the time when it was 8:40, so a bit of miscommunication perhaps, but they are able to pick it up in the end. Can Riot get some important kills with it as he does throw down the splinter grenade, and he's just going to try and be sneaky here, but it does look like Simplay's going to be able to try and get away. He does try and thrust, but eventually Riot picks up the kill, looks across to Morga as well. Should be the double, but can't finish the final shot. But his teammates will, and they're starting to move a flag. Actually, no, it is Ego moving the flag, so Riot will be there to respond to that. If he can get around this corner and throw it to his teammate, it could be huge. And actually, he is going to be able to throw it, so they're going to be able to relay this one in. This is massive for Ego. Despite all the control that VwS had, despite the fact they were able to get 2 or 3 players down, Ego able to respond as now Riot's going to run a counter
Yeah, that flag was absolutely crazy. It was actually Zer, the man who was able to score that flag essentially for his team. He got it when he was the last alive. He was able to run the flag. Even though he was the last alive, he identified the situation. Obviously, he had great information from his team. But it's going to be Chalky, pretty much the only person in position here in the flag for his team to try and put that one in, and it looks like VwS are playing this very patiently. It's going to be Ramirez now. He is still alive. Why isn't he putting this flag in? Rami, please put the flag in. Thank you very much. There's going to be 2-2, but coming back to that other flag up, the second flag up for Ego, Zer was the last alive, and he obviously had the information from his team that he was able to run that flag safely and get it home. That's exactly what happened, and all of a sudden VwS score a quick one afterwards. Now it's all tied up 2-2, Dan. That camouflage coming up in 30 seconds exactly. Don't forget, 5:40, excuse me. That camouflage is going to be coming up, so keep an eye on that in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
You were saying, Rami, I hope you put the flag in, but I actually love what he was doing. He did exactly the same for their first flag up. He was just waiting because he knew that Ego players were pushing in 1 by 1, and Ego were just a little bit too excited to get that flag return. They weren't thinking about anyone looking at them, and despite 3 of them being able to push into the base, Rami was able to pick off 1 by 1 and eventually put that flag in. Really important stuff from Rami, really showing his experience, showing that he's been in this situation thousands of times and knows when to be putting the flag in, as Lunny is going to grab that camouflage, like you said, exactly 5:40, but can he do anything with it? Because last time we saw Riot have the camouflage, Ego were able to put a flag in.
Yeah, worth noting though that the VwS now have an exact timing on obviously the camouflage. They got the last camouflage before this at was it 7:40. They also got this one as well, and Ego haven't really been setting up or even contesting the camouflage. So maybe they're just putting faith in the fact that they can, you know, the camouflage player isn't going to be a massive difference. But just as we say that, 2 slays come in here for VwS, and Riot's is just going to reload, get his shields back, and now he can start running this flag, and this could be all she wrote here for Ego. The flag is out here for VwS, so keep an eye on that going forwards. We'll actually leave Riot's here as Quad is the man who's going to try, he's basically on a salvage mission for his team. He wants to try and get that flag back.
Yeah, the whole of Ego just pushed round the opposite side, Carbine side, I believe, actually just tried to get into the base of VwS, pulled a flag of their own, but 2 of the players are down now, and with just 1 player running that flag, you can see Lunny is running towards the return, and that should be game with a flag going in from Riot. 3-2 and going 3-1 up in the series, and VwS now just 1 game away from sending Ego down to that losers bracket.
Wow. Who'd have thought VwS turning up like this? 17 kills, 2 flag captures, both most in the game from Captain Ramirez. 15 kills, not too far behind him. With that 1 flag capture as well was Riot's, and we said it before, VwS have looked very, very nice on this game type throughout the entirety of the Pro League season. And they continued their form. It's almost like their home map and game type, like Capture the Flag Truth. They seem to be very efficient on it. They seem to know what they're doing. They seem to enjoy playing it as well. And I think we saw that in the end result, as well as the gameplay that we saw there from VwS.
I think we saw the experience of VwS and the inexperience of Ego throughout that game, especially with putting those flags in and rushing to try and get those returns. Just several times Ego were jumping on the flag 1 by 1, where if they had just been a little bit more patient, if they had looked around, opened their eyes and try and take down the player that is just putting shots on their teammates that are dying in front of them, then they might have been able to stop those flags from going in, but instead they were a little bit inexperienced, they pushed in a little bit too much, and Ramirez was always there to put those flags in. So great work from him. But it was closer than I thought it was going to be on Capture the Flag True. So Ego are making a game of it. The next game will be Regret Slayer. Now, in my opinion, not VwS's strongest game type, Regret Slayer, but now they have that 3-1 lead, Ego going to start asking questions about themselves.
So Regret Slayer is one of those game types where a lot of it hinges on that first overshield, right? That first kind of team fight that happens, everyone kind of scrambles down bottom middle and gets that overshield. We spoke about it a lot during the Pro League season. It's not only about getting the overshield down low the first time round, so you know the timing of it, and can put it into use for the next time round as well. But also seeing which team gets up high afterwards. Whichever team can, get down low, grab the overshield, then immediately go up high. So I'm looking forward to that. One thing I will say though, credit to our analysts, because they kind of called it happening. We were like, yeah, you know what, Ego, they look pretty good. No, VwS, they are turning up.
They have turned up, and I think that's the big difference. I think they were speaking about the VwS that we saw at the end of Pro League. And, we were talking about the VwS we saw at the end of Pro League. Yeah. They were talking about the VwS that we were expecting to see.
Yeah. We were talking about the Ego that were open circuit finals, but this is
the real stuff.
Yeah.
As you can see, the vetoes are on your screen. Regret Slayer will be the final game, as Eden was already played earlier. Coliseum banned away, so was Plaza, Truth, and the Rig. And that leaves us with Regret Slayer as our Game 5 and a possible final game for VwS as they move on towards getting that Pro League spot once again.
Retaining it.
That'll be Ego dropping down to the losers bracket if they do lose this game. And that'll be hard to take, but they may have expected it because obviously VwS had the pick of which opponent they wanted to play. They clearly avoided Bittersweet. They went for Ego instead. They would have been more confident playing Ego than Bittersweet as we do move on to Slayer on the Gret. As Harry said, that overshield is deadly at bottom middle. It's going to be a scrap for it early on. You've also got the scatter shot, which can make a big difference if it is in the right hands. And we're going to start things off with Zer. And I think quite appropriately, we haven't seen enough of him this game.
No, we haven't. He hasn't particularly been quiet this series, but I just think the entirety of the Ego squad has been completely outclassed. It's going to be Chalky to grab that first overshield, and that's just been kind of the tail of the series so far. Don't forget, VwS, if they win this series, oh, Morga, are you serious? Melts the overshield off Chalky. I was about to say, if VwS, if they win this game, they get 2 bites of the cherry to get back into Pro League, because obviously they will be in the winners finals. They'll also be in the losers finals if they do eventually drop that one. But Morga, wow, what a play.
Yeah, really important just to get that scatter shot so you can just eliminate that overshield immediately. He needs to get with his teammates here though, as he will communicate, and Lunny's actually taking down. Great stuff from Morg, killing Chalky once again and putting some extra shots in his body just to let him know he's there. And despite the early pressure from VwS to take that overshield, it does look like Ego have managed to find their way back into this. Ramirez has got a little bit of top middle control and he has Lunny as support, but there are several members of Ego that are trying to take him down. Zer does push him, but thankfully the Plasma Caster does its work and does eliminate him off the map.
Yeah, Ramirez has been doing work with his Plasma Caster, I think he's only got 1 bullet left. I'd like to see him reload his pistol, to be honest. He only had 2 shots left, but that's enough to help Lunny trade there on quad. But we spoke about it, whichever team can grab that overshield first is going to have a great chance going forward. Chalky's going to know the timing next time round. He'll be able to call that for his team, but we also spoke about how teams tend to try and get up high as soon as possible, and we're seeing that here out of VwS. They got top middle control instantly. Zer there is going to eat a couple of shots and actually stay alive as Ramirez there just overextends. Little bit of a misplay. Simplay there will clean him up. 2 in the bag actually there was for Simply, and he's got a 3rd in a row now as well. So all of a sudden it's all tied up 10-10. This next overshield is going to be massive, coming up in around 30 odd seconds. So watch for the teams to try and rotate. They're going to transition from up high to down low. You can see Simply there is just worrying about his flanks. He's worrying about teams that are, other team players that are going to be below him. Oh, Ramirez there. Completely embarrassing Simplay, but you can see already, Riot's is setting up for this overshield, not up for another 10 seconds or so, but here it comes. This team fight here for bottom middle for this overshield is going to be absolutely vital going forwards.
Yeah, and top mid is so important as well, so sometimes it feels bad giving it up, but if you can get that overshield, it can really propel you through the rest of the game. Not only will it help with the extra shields, but also having the timing, as now we see Ego are all moving in. Chalky is looking like he's going to get taken down as well, as that overshield is going to be spawning, but actually grenades come in, and now will that overshield? Who's got it?
It was actually Chalky
who
had the overshield. Yeah, so while he was eating all those shots, it was actually draining his overshield away. So great job there out of Ego. It was Chalky who got the overshield, but once again, VwS not able to kind of get a return for their worth, really. I mean, they got the overshield, but they weren't able to put kills on the board. Ramirez, he's obviously heard that this scatter shot is pretty good on this map, so he decided to pick it up. 6-kill lead now for VwS, and with the next overshield quite far away, you have to say Ego, they've got a little bit of work to do to try and get themselves back in this game.
Yeah, because not only did VwS get the overshield, but they also got top middle control, and Ramirez now in a situation with that scatter shot. He does manage to take down 1 kill. We saw that a couple of times in open finals, actually. We said you've got to be careful with a scatter shot not to overextend, because if you give it away, it can be deadly, but at least he was able to pick off 1 kill, as Lunny is trying to find this player that's dancing around top middle with him. Doesn't hit him with the plasma pistol, so he does have to retreat back to his team, and that will give up top middle control to Ego. But Morg is going to go down from the grenade of Ramirez. Berserk will respond and take him down, as Lunny now is just trying to get round behind Ego. If he can pick off 1 kill, it would be extremely important for him. He knows exactly where they are, but can he lock on with his plasma pistol?
Yeah, not only that, I think he actually had VwS players that were kind of in that blue base. He will be taken down in the end though, but we saw on the scoreboard there, this man right here, Ramirez, is actually having a very stellar game, and you know we've given him a little bit of stick in the past from really not turning up in the Slayers and not turning up where it matters. But you can see right here, he's leading the game in Slays. So 10 kills and 4 deaths from Ramirez. I want to stay on board with him going forward. But as we're saying all this, only a 2-kill game now, and this is what we said Ego need to do. You know, when the overshield's coming up, they need to try and close this deficit, grab the overshield, steal it away from VwS, put kills on the board, and all of a sudden they're in the driving seat. But right now, it's all tied up. Great work out of Ego.
Yeah, and now they just need to control the map, as that next overshield will be coming up any second now. They won't have the precise timing of it, because Chalky did get it last time, as Zer tries to stay alive, but he just can't dance around enough. Chalky's there once again, does pick it up, gets it as well. It's not burnt this time, but he is completely wiped off the face of the map, as grenades came in here, there, and everywhere, and the lead still continues for Ego, and there's a couple of players here to try and take this top middle control.
And here's the question, Dan. Do VwS have a plan B? It seems like they were putting all their eggs in one basket with that overshield. Fair enough, they got the overshield, but Ego, obviously, they've drilled that. They've drilled that completely. Not only have they drilled the overshield, but they've drilled that entire sequence of play, making sure that if the other team gets that overshield, you take that away from him as soon as possible. That's exactly what happened both of the last 2 times that VwS have gotten the overshield. And all of a sudden, it's a 4-kill game in favor of Ego, and now it's VwS with some work to do. We were harping on about Ramirez having a great game. He is so, as is Lunny, but at the moment they are down by 2 here, Dan.
Yeah, this is the do or die time. This is when it kicks in for Ego. They know if they lose this, they drop down to losers bracket, so they're starting to pick it up. They were able to just take that overshield out of the game, so VwS couldn't get an advantage out of it. And like you say, that was pretty much VwS's game plan, as we do see Ramirez trying to get the back smack, but unfortunately he is eliminated by Quad, but Lunny does respond. Good, effective trading there from VwS. That's what they need to do if they are going to stay in this game. They can't afford to lose those 1v1s and not have somebody to back it up.
Yeah, that's something actually we don't see enough out of kind of the other relegation teams. Prophecy is a team especially that is bad for it. Those trades, especially in Slayers, are absolutely vital. As long as you have a teammate with you to trade off your death, and you're in a half-decent position to put damage down and actually try and make some headway on the score. That's exactly what's happening to VwS right here. The team fight's going to happen. Ramirez will take down Quad. Can he make it 2 in a row? No. Morg will shut him down, but Lunny, again here, he's trying to trade, but I think Morg's actually kind of recognized that, and he's just backing off. He's going to keep his shields, but Chalky there will take him down as well. And now a 2-kill lead going into this next sequence of play here, Dan. Big team fight coming up, that overshield coming up at 46. VwS know the time. The question is, do Ego? Let's swap over to someone on the Ego side who is going to drop down low. I think it's actually going to be Quad. No, it's going to be Simplay, excuse me. The man who's down low. This overshield is going to be absolutely vital. I think it's up right now. Either team able to actually grab that, I think.
Yeah, they will know the exact timing, but you can see there is a member of Ego, and it will be Morgan picking up this overshield. This could be huge. He needs to get this kill, and he needs to run away immediately. Doesn't want to be able to get traded off, as he will be rewarded with a scatter shot as well. So just 7 kills needed. What a fantastic position this is for Ego. They need to stick together now. Don't give away any silly kills. Don't push out unnecessarily. Good grenades there from Morg as well to take down Chalky, and just 6 kills needed. Lunny is caught with his pants down, but he is able to get away. He's retreating, trying to get to the rest of his team. This is good stuff. VwS now, they need to find a way to break out this setup from Ego.
Yeah, Ego, they've come back so well in this game. Don't forget, they were down by around 10 kills at some point. So they're up by 3 now with 5 minutes left in the game. It certainly won't go the distance, I don't believe. As a 3-kill game, make it a 4-kill game now. Only 3 kills needed here for Ego. Can Morgan finish off this one? No, but it's traded brilliantly there from Quad. That's all Ego need to do at this stage. Just trade off these last 2 kills. and they will be forcing a game number 6.
Yeah, just group up, push in together and finish this one up. Put it to bed, take it to game 6. Don't be scared now, you've got to take it in your stride as they do take the victory, 50-44. We're going to a game 6, and that is a 3-2 lead now just for VwS. We've said Ego are good in their Slayers, and they have responded well with both Slayer victories going in their hands.
So, 3 players with 14 kills on the Ego side. All the assists are up there fairly high as well. So, fantastic job all round from Ego. On the other side, it really was the Ramirez and Lunny show. Chalky and Riot's really not having the best of games. 9 and 17 from Chalky. Not the greatest stat line in the world. Obviously, Riot's did have those 13 assists. But interesting that Ego actually haven't won a single objective in this series, but they still find themselves alive. They absolutely need to steal away an objective from this VwS squad in order to force a game 7, which in the end, Dan, is going to be a Slayer. So if they can steal away this next objective from VwS, you have to fancy Ego to win that game number 7. But again, we have to talk about it. The experience on the VwS squad, it comes in leaps and bounds.
It kind of reminds me of Infuse from last season's finals, where they were just winning Slayer after Slayer, but just couldn't put those objective games to bed. I've got to say, though, it was a strange one. VwS had such control of that overshield throughout the whole of the game. Constantly, Chalky was dancing on it every time he spawned, but for that final one, for that critical one, there wasn't a member of VwS to be seen. I don't think they forgot it. I just think Ego, they chose their time right, they pushed at exactly the right moment, and they said, we know how much we need this win.
It almost was like they forgot it, though, because I was timing the overshield, and I was like, wait, it's up now. Why? Where is everyone? Why is everyone, like, what's going on? So I think they might have forgotten it, actually. I don't know. We'll see if we can contact some of the players, see what went on there. But if they go on to lose this series, Dan, again, they have a couple of games in the bag to, try and force this one out. But if they do, in the end, lose this series, you have to ask if that's going to be a pivotal talking point going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And now we're going to be moving into Game 6. As you can see on your screen, we have the vetoes. So Rig was already played earlier. Plaza was taken off by VwS. Eden was voted away by Ego, and that finishes us up with an Empire Strongholds. And boy, Empire Strongholds can get very messy, Harry.
A lot of people say messy. And a lot of players and a lot of teams are not a fan of Empire Strongholds. I can see why. It's quite frantic, it's quite fast-paced, but sometimes you gotta live life in the fast lane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to put yourself in the overtaking lane. You've just got to stick it into 5th gear,
pedal down, and
just overtake everyone. As if you have just joined us, you can see down below us there are all the scores from the series so far. It is 3-2 in favor of VwS. They just need that one more game to move on in the winners bracket and knock down Ego to the losers bracket. But Ego are putting up a little bit of a fight here now.
Yeah, and we spoke about it kind of early in the last game, but the winner of this series puts himself in a great position to be in Pro League, because if you win this series, all you have to do is win one of the next 2 best of 7s, and you're in the Pro League. You've made it. So obviously that's a massive point. That's a massive talking point. But we have to take this game by game, and this game right here, Dan, Empire Strongholds. I spoke about it. It's a very fast-paced, kind of frantic game type. I actually kind of enjoy watching it, because obviously that overshield does spawn outside. We have the saw as well that can absolutely rip through shields and rip people's hopes and dreams. We have to wonder whether or not that is going to be the case for Ego. In my opinion, we haven't really seen too much of Empire Strongholds in the Pro League, whereas I can imagine in the open circuit, I know Zer especially is a massive fan of this game type. Whenever I watch him play it, he's always just doing the right thing. He's so... I'm going to say, I think Ego could take this game. I don't think VwS are going to be well drilled enough on this game type, but we'll have to see going forward. I certainly think this is going to be one of Ego's favourites.
Well, that will certainly be an interesting one, but VwS have had the early trade so far. 3 members of Ego going down. That will be the 4th, so that should be Pit going in the hands of VwS. They've also got an overshield. Chalky, once again, the man who's grabbing that one. So he should pick up this kill onto Zer, but he can't. There we go. He does take him down, and now he'll be able to pick up blue base so they can start putting points on the board. And it is very difficult when you are in this situation when Pit is taken by your opposition to get back into the game, and actually total control now for VwS. So not only do they put Ego in a position where they have to answer back, but they are just racking up the points as we speak.
Not only are Ego in a position where they have to answer back, they absolutely have to answer back if they want to come back in this series. They're 14, make it 16-0 down now, and if they lose this game, they're dropping down to the losers. And you have to say, Ramirez just doing absolute work with this saw. we spoke about it. This weapon, man, this just absolutely rips through hopes and dreams. Morga there is actually going to survive that one. Ground pound comes in. Ramirez able to get a beat down. That's going to take down Morga's shields. In fact, that's going to be, that's going to be Zer, who is actually able to stay alive. So they could actually break the setup here from VwS. If they can capture this blue base, this would be a great springboard going forward. I don't think any of the VwS players are actually going to contest this, as Morga across the map is going to take down Lunny. That's a great springboard for them now going forward. They have a kill on the board. They have a stronghold. The bleeding's been stemmed for now. Let's see if they can push and take care of that pit.
Yeah, but they're not able to, as just several members are going down for Egoed. And look how hard they had to work just to get one stronghold back. And immediately, VwS is starting to push towards that blue base as well, just to put pressure there, and so Egoed have to come back. But now, Egoed are moving into this red base as well, so that could be 2 points on the board for them. But blue base, you can see, is starting to tick away as a member of VwS. But now this is your chance. You go for Pit, you try and get some kills. Pit is what you need to get. You can't afford to just be diving in and out of blue and red base. You are not going to win the game that way. But now, a couple of members of VwS are down. Zer is taken out. That could have been so important, as Pit is so close for them to take. But VwS are able to reset it, and that's going to be heartbreaking for Egoed.
Yeah, it is, but I really like what I saw out of Zer there. I mean, you saw him just rotating around the outside of the map, getting spawns for his team. I mean, he actually spawned his team that went down in the enemy base, so they were able to capture that stronghold. You can see now they have red, but this scoreline is really commanding here for VwS. Lunny with a perfect on Simplay in the kill feed. 53-2 in favour of VwS, and you have to say, if they're able to get another spell of total control, you have to fancy Ego dropping down here to the losers bracket. They absolutely have to win this game if they want to force a game 7. But right now, VwS is all them right now.
Yeah, I think Egoed even actually had an overshield there, but Chalky just walked around and obliterated it, so they weren't even able to make an impact with that. And I love how VwS are just setting themselves up around Pit, so as soon as any member of Egoed pushes in, they are always there to take them down and reset it. As you can see now, Egoed are trying their desperately trying to get Pit. Finally, they have Pit on the board. This is where they can push on now, try and get some map control. But if VwS can respond with kills like they're doing, this is just going to be impossible for Egoed to get back into.
Yeah, I gotta say though, I think Egoed may have just committed a few too resources there into the pit. And Zer now is just kind of desperately pushing the pit. Obviously, we have the benefit of the player outlines. He obviously knew his teammate there was giving him help. This pit is almost 3/4 of the way done, but once again, a desperation kind of fly into the pit there from Zer, and this scoreline still ticking up here from VwS. Seems like everyone would jump on board with is just going to die. So maybe that's just the nature of Empire Strongholds. But either way, 73-5. This is looking really good for VwS, and Egoed here, they absolutely have to make a stand right here, right now.
Yeah, I said this game is messy, but actually VwS have kept it nice and clean and controlled. They've had a game plan from the start. They've been able to control the map. They've set up around Pit. But now Egoed are starting to respond. They've been able to get Pit back once again. Quad needs to get in a position to stop this member of VwS, which will be Chalky, from taking Pit. If you can get this kill, important. They get the reset as well. But you can see a couple of members of VwS are trying to take blue base off them, just to try and lure them away from Pit so that they can push into Pit and get it for themselves. And that is going to be points just constantly racking up for VwS, and they're getting closer and closer to that 100.
Yeah, Riots and Ramirez actually leading the way in slays, and slays on Empire Strongholds obviously so important, as Ramirez here is actually going to find himself in a 2v1, still manages to trade himself off. So that's actually quite a good result there from Ramirez. But now we're seeing a little bit of control in the hands of Egoed. If they could just settle themselves down here on the pit, make sure their home base is secure as well, then maybe they can push in for a triple. And that's when things start to escalate quickly. They can start asking questions of VwS. Do VwS know how to kind of break that setup? But you can see right here, they know exactly how to play this game type. Lunny will go down in the end, so good trade there in the end from Zer, though he did have that source, so you have to wonder whether or not that was a bit of a misplay. But it seems like VwS know what they're doing. They know they need to keep their home base, and then they can push forward, going forward into the pit. And once again, a massive team fight coming in the pit. Can Ramirez here stay alive? Two of the Egoed players are very weak. It looks like Egoed coming off at the better in this engagement, but now it's a 2v1 in favour of VwS. Kier there is trying to stay alive. He has backup here from Simplay as well. We'll swap over to him. Big fight, and that's going to defend the pit as well. Those are the kind of big team fights you need to win if you're going to be winning Empire Strongholds. Egoed coming out on the top on that one.
Honestly, I think Egoed need to control the map for the rest of this game if they're going to win. I think if they give up Pit, if they give up any control, VwS will just feed off that, and they will move on and win this game. But Egoed do have the chance. It is one of those game types when you do have control, it's extremely hard to break down, as Quad is just going to sit here in this little sneaky area. He's going to try and take down Riot here, but he is greeted by another member of the VwS squad. Needs to run away, needs to make sure he stays alive. Can't give away easy kills, does take down Chalky. Unfortunately can't get the trade-off onto Riot, so now Riot can push on for this pit. But are there members of Ego to stop them from taking this?
Yeah, that is the real question. I feel like that's about to be answered, but you can see on the outlines, the slays coming in from Ego as well. Now's the kind of position where they can push in for this triple cap. If Ramirez isn't really careful here, it's actually going to be Zer trying to take the red base. If Zer can take down Ramirez, that would be huge for his team. Ramirez will actually take him down in the end. A few extra shots there just to make sure he is dead. But Chalky chiming in the kill feed as well. That's going to help VwS out massively. Ramirez here needs to try and make this kill happen if he can. I think this is actually Simplay he's going off against, but Simplay there doing a great job staying alive, just keeping Ramirez busy. VwS will have control for now, but this pit is halfway captured, and with 2 players in it, that thing can go pretty quickly.
It can, but Simplay's now putting himself to try and reset it if anyone does dodge out, which they do. So continued from Ego, continued control. VwS, they're trying to find a way to break this setup. They've tried just constantly rushing pit. It's not really worked. So they tried to push round and get a base instead. Try and split, get either base, try and take Ego away from that pit, and then that's when they can move in, as Lunny now is just going to try and take control of this red base, which will start putting them points on the board for them. You can see the opposition blue base is also starting to rack up as well. Pit reset once again. VwS just can't find a way in, but there are 2 really important kills for VwS now. Lunny should be able to take this pit. He has a sword as well, so if anyone challenges him, he should be able to respond well.
Yeah, I'm just... Interesting tactics here coming out of VwS. Obviously, like you said, Dan, they tried the 2 ways of pushing the pit. Neither of them worked, so they decided to flank around the outside. But 3 kills in the kill feed there. Chalky, the last alive here for VwS. And oh no, VwS, they are still scoring for now, but obviously blue base will go in favor of Ego. Great splinter grenade there will quell the pressure for a little while. Away from the pit at the moment, but you've got to say, Chalky, he will go down in the end. I'll tell you what, man, Ego, they're coming back into this slowly but surely. Obviously, VwS with those 89 points, they're very close to winning this game, but Ego, they seem to have a lot of control, and they've had it for a long while as well.
And this is where frustration can start to set in, when you are so close to winning that game, when you are so close to winning the series, and you're just trying to get there, but you can't. And every time VwS are pushing around to a base, Ego are responding with a push of their own to the opposite one, just to make sure they're not able to rack up any points. And really, VwS have to get this pit. I'm not sure the split push to each base is going to be able to get them to that 100 mark.
Yeah, they're going for it again, though. You can see Chalky here. They already have the blue base. He's now actually flanked all the way around the outside with a few of the VwS players. He's going to try and capture red here. And if he can get this, then maybe those extra few points could just tick in his team's favor, and it's actually going to be control now going in favor of VwS. Now, the timer is ticking for Ego. They need to get Chalky out of this base. They need one of the bases back. I think that's actually going to be Simplay in the end to capture blue. If they can capture this, that would be huge. All of a sudden, they're scoring again. Now it's 80 to 92. The pit is 3/4 of the way done, though. Chalky's the man trying to lead the assault if he can get the reset here. Huge fight against Ramirez. Can he make it happen? Simplay versus Ramirez. He gets the reset. Double kill. Oh my word, Simply, what a play. They're still scoring. 84 to 92. Damn, this one's going down to the wire.
And he's able to survive as well, so he can continue to contest this pit. As soon as he sees a member of VwS drop into it, the nerves are going to start to kick in for VwS. The overshield has actually been picked up here, though, so VwS can make a move. 2 members of Ego go down. The overshield with Chalky is going to move towards this pit, but shots are raining down from everywhere. He goes down. These are the kills that Ego need if they are going to be able to come back into this one. Blue base is currently being taken by VwS, though, so Ego now need to respond. They need to move over to red base, but you need a player to control pit at the same time. Great grenade from Simplay.
Oh my word, this man going off. He can get this kill on Chalky, that would be huge. But 2 kills in favor of VwS. This is an absolute critical pit fight right here. 2 kills from Chalky. He will go down though. And as long as this is contested, 98 to 93. Oh my word, are they going to make it happen? Yes, they are. Ego force a game 7. What a comeback.
Incredible comeback.
Oh my word.
I said they needed to control the game.
They were 70 points down, Dan. That's absolutely outrageous.
21 kills from Zer, and despite the early control there from VwS, Ego, they just bit down. They said, we've got to take this one. We can take 70 points, but as soon as we get that control, we can fight our way back into the game. Wow. And they tried everything, VwS. They tried split pushes. They tried all rush into one base. They tried all rush in
for the base,
but it just couldn't break through in the end.
Didn't work out. 7 secures, to his credit, Simplay. Absolutely huge moments in that game to keep his team alive. Absolutely vital. On the other side, Lunny, we've known him for his slaying power all season long. Only those 11 kills. And wow, all of a sudden, we're all tied up 3-3 in a best of 7, going into a Slayer. Which Ego have taken every single Slayer so far this series down.
Can it happen? I mean, this is it. This is the analysis desk versus the caster desk. We said we thought Ego were going to win. They said that VwS were going to win. We were looking pretty shaky at 3-1. Yep. But now Ego are straight back into it. And you look at some of the players that are on this VwS squad. You have got event winners. You have got champions, multiple event winners, should I say. Ego, however, they've never really won anything. No. But they have got this desire. They've got this passion. 74-5 it was at one point. Yet Ego was still able to come back into it. I'm sure there will be a few people saying it was a little bit of a choke from VwS, but it is one of those game types when you do just lose that control. It is so hard to get it back.
I want to see this double from Simplay. I hope we have it. It's absolutely huge. The crowd here went absolutely just wild when it happened. Simplay, I believe it was here. You can see 81-92. It was him versus Ramirez. Look at how close that pit is to being taken. He wins the fight. He lands the shots. He resets the stronghold. That was a key point in the game, and just wow. How can people hate Empire Strongholds? That was amazing. I love that. That was great.
Game 7. Whew. What a way to start a relegation, and it is going to be Truth Slayer. Now, we've seen that Ego have been able to take all of the Slayers so far. You can see the vetoes are there at the bottom of your screen. Eden and Regret already been played. Plaza vetoed out by VwS. Ego taking out Colosseum, and Rig taken away from VwS, leaving us with a Truth Slayer. And what a way to decide it. One of these teams will be dropping to losers bracket. The other will move on to winners bracket, where they'll be one win away from that amazing Pro League spot.
It's just, it's like David versus Goliath, isn't it? I mean, we spoke about it. How many times have Riot's Chalky and Ramirez won European championships in the past? All of a sudden, Halo 5 comes around. It's not their game. And all of a sudden, we have all this new blood coming through. I mean, think of all the players that are here at finals this weekend. I mean, going back a couple of years, you wouldn't have even recognized any of their names. Now, all of a sudden, they're household names in Halo 5. And all of a sudden, VwS find themselves in a Game 7 against an up-and-coming team from the open circuit. I mean, you can't write this stuff. You really can't.
And put it this way, if they do drop to losers bracket, they will have to beat the likes of Prophecy or Bittersweet. Maybe even have to play Egoed again for that Pro League spot. But Truth Slayer is going to be Game 7 now. Harry, who are you looking towards here? Are you just thinking this is Egoed here, there, and everywhere because of their Slayer performances so far?
I don't know, man. I don't know. VwS so good on Truth. We saw it on Capture the Flag, right? But we spoke about it again. The Egoed, they're great on Slayers. But if you remember last weekend at the Open Circuit Finals, they actually dropped this twice to Skitlight. So maybe not the strongest Game 7 here for Egoed, but if they can take it off VwS, they will be one series win away from the Pro League.
We say that Halo is a momentum game time and time again, and momentum is currently with Egoed as they get the early kills as well as the camouflage, and Zer will now be able to control this top mid, gets a fuel rod as well, 3-0, 4-0, VwS are falling like flies.
What's happening?
This is the start Egoed have needed. Is this going to be the start of VwS's downfall out of the Pro League possibly?
50-0. Calling it right now, 50-0, that's what's going to happen. But Zer here with kind of the death combo. Is that what I called it the other week? You know, when they have the fuel rod and the camouflage. Chalky will put a kill on the board here for VwS, but they're already down by 7.
Hi, Riot.
Make that 8. Bye-bye, Max. As all of a sudden, once again, VwS trapped in red.
And VwS can't afford to do that. Riot cannot afford to just push out willy-nilly on his own and just give away a death. They're already 8 kills down. If they continue to do that, then it is just going to be easy footing for Ego. Instead, now VwS are having to sit back. You can see they've retreated to their base as Zer puts shots across this map, takes down Chalky. We'll look across with the carbine to try and get the double. Riot will be cleaned up with a grenade. He turns around, sees several members, but he's got a teammate there to support him, and 13-3, the sword in the hands of Simply now. This is not looking pretty for VwS.
That is an understatement. Simply is like a chef in a kitchen right now, just cutting, slicing through the VwS players. And the camouflage coming up in around 30 seconds. So the silver lining for VwS is the fact they still have time left in this game. If they can get a hand on that camouflage, get a timing on it going forward, they can maybe snowball off of that. But right now, wow, down by 12 before the next camouflage even comes up, and it could be down by even more.
It is certainly one of the maps where you do get the control. It's incredibly hard to come back into, especially when you have those rifles, when you have those swords. As you can see, Simply has the sword. He will take down Riot. There is a trade there, but already a 15-kill advantage. VwS on the back foot, and they really just need to try and slow this down, try and get some map control, but everywhere that they push, Ego are there to respond, and at the moment, Lunny and Riot are on that awful goose egg. And if one of them does goose in the end, that will definitely be embarrassing to a relegation team. And that will be camouflage again in the hands of Ego. So everything going well for them at the moment. They just need to they keep their composure. I think that's important. They don't want to get overexcited. Yes, you have a massive lead, but that doesn't mean you've won the game yet. We've seen teams come back into it before. I know this is looking like it's all down and out for VwS, but we can't count them out when they have such incredible players on their squad. It's simply, it's just putting in grenades, and VwS off spawn and just being taken down like flies at the moment.
What's happening? This is a Pro League team getting dismantled by an open circuit team. This is the first time we've properly seen this throughout both of the Pro Leagues. Huge splinter grenade there from Simplay will shut down Lunny's existence, and wow, 21-point lead in a Slayer. Zer with 2, Simply with 1. 32-9. What is that scoreline?
This isn't going to be a steak dinner. This is going to be a full meat platter at this rate. Simply picks up the double, absolutely destroying Chalky there. Yes, he had help, but he hit every shot that he needed to. And he's got a fuel rod in his back pocket now. And they are just pushing round. They are just pincering every single member of VwS off spawn. Wow. They cannot escape the clutches of Ego.
Peace. Player left. I wonder what that's about. Oh, that's the real question, boys. But either way, if it is a technical difficulty, they will still obviously have that 28-point lead.
Yes, we will get an admin ruling as to what the situation is going to be. The triple kill won't actually count as Lunny was stood still, but usually you have a continuation when these things do happen. So as soon as we find out from the admins, we will give you that confirmation. But we've spoke about changing of the guard. We've spoke about passing that torch onto a new Pro League team.
What just happened?
VwS are struggling, and they are struggling hard. Yes, we had a disconnect, but they were still 28 kills behind.
I can't. This is the first series of relegation, Dan. We had a 70-point comeback on Empire Strongholds and an absolute dismantling of
My tie is out of place because I have been so excited.
I'm not even wearing a tie. I don't know, what's going on?
Yours fell off mid-game, but this is fantastic stuff. I mean, Ego, we almost counted them out at 3-1 down. We were thinking, okay, they've only been taking the Slayers, but they were able to get back on board, able to take that objective game, and now with just one Slayer needed. And I think once I get the rulings from the admins, they should only need about 12 kills in a continuation.
No, I don't think it works that way. I think the way it works in continuation, I know it has all season long, you get the lead that you had. So because they had a 28-point lead, you take away that from 50. So you take away, so 50 minus 28, that's what, 32 kills? 22 kills. 22 kills. Maths.
At least he's good at maths.
Maths is hard.
Yeah, so they will need 22 kills. Is that what you're saying? So they'll start...
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not great with maths. Has anyone got a calculator? This is pretty tough mathematics right here.
I'm getting confirmation in my ear. VwS require 50. Ego require 30.
30. Okay. Why is it 30? They had like a huge...
That's the confirmation I got in my ear. That's what's going to be happening. And we will jump back on board. And with a 20 kill advantage, you'd like to think that Ego are going to be in control of this one.
We say that.
Right, okay, no, I have even better confirmation. Actually, it was apparently a quit out. It was a team member of VwS saying, no, we're done, we're giving up. So Ego win the series 4-3, and they will move on to the winners bracket final. And that means that VwS are going to be dropping down to the losers bracket.
From 3-1 down, Dan.
What did
3-1 down.
What did we say? I mean, this was one of those series that could have gone either way. VwS have such talent, such experience, but there was so much hunger, so much desire on the side of Ego, and we will actually get some replays of that last game, but
hunger wins out.
I think that's what they deserved. I would have felt a little bit disheartened if we went into some sort of continuation series, because Ego had that game down and out. They had won it, they were up by it felt like 1,000 kills. They were doing everything right. VwS just couldn't get back into it, and it does mean that, well, does this mean that we will definitely... No, it doesn't mean we'll definitely have a new team yet. But with Bittersweet versus Prophecy, I mean, could we be seeing bittersweet versus Ego in the winners bracket for a place in that Pro League, Harry?
Potentially, it could happen. I mean, just Simplay was doing just such work in that game. Look at the score: 35 to 10, 37 to 10, 38 to 10. I can't. You can't write this stuff. They were 3-1 down in the series, Dan.
I mean, we're just excited. We are overexcited. We've said what we can. So let's actually go over to the desk. Let's see what the boys on the desk have to say, because I'm sure they can pick it apart very effectively. Over to you, Red Eye.
Thank you very much. Yes, I tell you what, we're a bit stunned over here at the desk with a rage quit at the end of the game as well. We've actually had absolutely everything you could imagine you would want out of a brilliant best of 7. It went all the way 3-1 down to 4-3 up, and Ego have made their way through to the upper bracket final. They are one series away from playing in the Pro League. Who would have thought that around about half an hour ago when they were 3-1 down? Certainly not the two gents sat next to me. Harry, first off,
What can you say?
Yeah, how do you summarise that? You're the expert. Tell me what went on.
That last game literally was unbelievable. The main point of that last game was when VwS took 2 people to P-side. They did the same, but Ego were much more efficient, they were much faster. But what really made it for them was, I'm not sure who it was who pushed top mid right at the start, but basically helped pick off those 2 players. And as they were doing that, someone from P2 joined out for camo, whoever it was got to me, might have been Zer, actually got the fuel rod, and literally just took it from there. But, okay, fair enough, once you've done that, normally you get about 5-10 kill lead. But they kept pincer them, sandwiching them for lot. I could not believe it. At one point, VwS had full carbine control, but Ego were like, "No, you're not having that," and they just sandwiched them again. It was unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
I mean, we're going to break down the whole 7 series, Rich, and you have to say, when we kicked off on CTF Fathom, you thought, okay, VW. We asked the question, which version of VwS turns up today? We got our answer after the first game, or we thought we had anyway. They were dominant on that first game.
Yeah, 3-0 win. They looked extremely strong coming into it, and honestly, I thought that was, this is how we're going to set the tone of this entire series. It was a 3-0. It was as simple as that. They was very dominant. They pretty much got all the power-ups. You saw them every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to them, I've got to say, out of Ego, we got a lot of flag runs because there were a lot of standoffs at some points, but they just didn't seem to be able to capitalise and see it through. It was VwS, again, these players know how to play flag. They've been doing it for so many years. They counter it, stop them, pull it in, and things just looked good. I thought, this is VwS at its finest at the end of the day. I'm sorry, we just have to point out that final
That's a
score
beautiful
right there.
graphic right now.
I don't remember.
Because it's got all seven maps on it. Yeah, I mean, take it through. We went through the rig. I think in a weird way, after the first 2 games, when they picked up Eden, you sort of thought, oh, okay, well, they're strong on Slayer. We kind of knew they were strong on Slayer beforehand, so that makes sense. They'd do that one. And then VwS went on a bit of a tear, won the CTF with a 2-2 standoff after a while as well. So they're 3-1 up after 4, and you think, that's got to be it, surely.
Yeah, the problem is, with Ego on the second to last game sub, I was really worried. Like, for example, VwS had full outside control most of the game. Not only is it the best place to hold when you're holding pit and one of the side bases, you got overshield. They picked that up a few times, but the problem was Ego took way too long to break their setups at the end. Actually, no, probably throughout the whole game. But when they did, they would hesitate. Instead of capitalising on the kills they'd grab, they would just sit around, even though they were working together and coordinating well, they were just a bit too slow at doing it. Then again, second half of the game, all completely changed. They realised their mistakes and just cracked on and grabbed pit at the end.
I think when you look at, I mean, the amount of times we've said Empire can be very snowball. One team, and it can be also quite unpredictable, with the spawns and when people are coming out, especially with those power-ups, they can really turn a game around. I say that, Chalky got rinsed with the OS.
Yeah.
The final OS, he got absolutely, completely terrorised. But Simplay, we've got to call out that double kill to save the pit right in the very final few,
He had to get those 2 kills. I think the final kill was on Ramirez as well. Who'd had, actually, at that point, he'd had a great series as well.
Yeah, which is a shame because Rami's been doing, he had a great entire series. He's been playing out of his mind, but the story, pretty much coming off the back of Empire, was what you said, Harry. I've got to allude to it kind of with Zer and this whole mentality. If I'd have come off for a win like that, I'm like, boys, we got it. We're going game 7. This is it. We're going to win this. And honestly, I think that final game proved it. Which team wanted it more?
There were so many great plays, and it just all happened at the end. Simply with the double to save in the game. Killing Chalky when Chalky had overshield. I'm not sure who it was with the sword, but absolutely demoralised him.
In the kill feed, he switched to an AR, so clearly he's completely blitzed him with a weapon. His teammate running, took his eyes off, switched out to his AR, finished the kill. See you later, mate. Get out of here.
And I think, yeah, just at the end, I did notice Rami doing a couple of things. He seemed to panic too much. He became a bit too overly aggressive. But with Strongholds, especially on a map like Empire, you have to grab what you can. And at the end, I can kind of understand why he panics in 50 situations.
Do you feel like we headed into Game 7 and maybe VwS's head wasn't screwed on properly? Because they were 3-1 up, they're one game away. They should have won Empire, really, if we're honest. They should have held on for that. Then it's 3-3 all of a sudden, and they're heading into Slayer, which they've already lost both maps against. Surely they've got to have had their mentality is going to be destroyed at that point, isn't it?
I think their mentality was destroyed from the beginning. Literally, when they got counter-strategied right at the start, that was it for them. Ego just needed that one little push to basically throw them off completely. And I think when they got the camo, the Fjord, and kept him pinned in the bases constantly, it was fine. Like, that was probably the one game, actually in Game 7, where they didn't hesitate to make any decisions or any like situational mistakes whatsoever. And you saw clearly that they would get sandwiched constantly 24/7, and they did not care if they would die. They were just going in without fear.
I mean, there's two things that I want to say annoyed about, but not necessarily. It's kind of a thing at this point. You saw one of the kills in the highlights, saw their player just for the final kill standing still.
This is the simple play. He's got the first one. This is the second one. He has to get this. Otherwise, they've lost the map.
I'm hoping we can. I don't think we cop for the. No, we won't move on to the next one. But like, simply again, look at this.
Yeah.
No fear. You want a piece of this? I'll happily feed you it. But you know, when you look at one of the players on VwS, he was stood there. It's over. We've had a rage quit there. End of the day, who wants it more? Simple as that. For me, the better team won 110%.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of it, you can talk about the rage quit and say, it's bad sportsmanship or whatever, but they're 40-10 down. They know it's done.
Yeah.
I think it's still unprofessional due to that, but yeah, that's, I can understand it from their point of view though.
Okay, so they're going to head down to the lower bracket now. It's going to be
interesting.
It's going to be tough for them down there.
Really went down to the lower bracket.
That's a team gone, isn't it? If they go down onto that is literally a guaranteed a new team.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, if we get bittersweet through to the upper bracket. So, yeah, very interesting. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are headed to a break very shortly, of course, but don't forget there are plenty of things for you guys to do on the internet. We have plenty of things for you to win as well. If you pop over right now to esl.pm/Halo, there are a bunch of prizes courtesy of our friends at Astro and, of course, at Jinx as well. Hoodies, lanyards, and the AR-40s are on there with the mixers. Yes, you can win all of that. Make sure you do it all in large caps, by the way, because I tried it earlier. Don't know, it might be fixed now, but just in case, large caps, esl.pm/Halo, win yourself a load of gear. We will be back after the break with our second game of the day. And I tell you what, if it's anything to like the first one, we're in for a treat. It's Prophecy versus Bittersweet. It's coming next.